Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dad around Yak's Family. Fantastic show for you. We talk about the bug in the system. It might be time to say GG2/GG in Fractals and make your favorite char a little more charming. And much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and host of Zero to Hero on this very channel, traveling to a new adventure land with his gang of heroes known as the Extreme Team. Say hello to Jim.
Boo.
Oh, come on.
Hi, everybody.
And he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question, will he like the brand new mount skins? Say hello to Age.
Well, we'll get into that. I don't think they're bad. We'll get into that.
Yeah, but
I'll save it for later.
Brand new.
No, I'm not gonna indulge you.
Come on.
I'm not gonna read it. No.
Brand new.
I know what you meant.
Of course you didn't, because you didn't laugh. Anyway, let us jump right into it. Just so everybody knows, we will be talking about bug in the system, spoiler stuff, but we're gonna save that to the very end. That way we can go through all the news and not have to like section things off for people. That way, if you haven't seen it yet, you can kind of still be up to date with the news and all that fun stuff. And we'll give you ample warning. If you're on Twitch, we'll be switching out the title and stuff too. That way people know that when we were talking spoilers, you guys will definitely know and have time to react. But let us jump right into it. March 6th patch notes. Of course, bug in the system. Like I said, we're saving that. But some general stuff. The new health bar controls have been added to the general options menu. So you have thick party health bars. Shows large health bars for party, PvP, and squad subgroup members. Thick squad health bars. Shows larger health bars for squad members. Always show party health bars has been added as an option, and always show squad health bars has been added as an option as well. So, I mean, I think when they were talking about possibly putting in health bars, people were happy about it. Do you like this implementation of it?
The new health bars are great. I turned them on immediately, and I will not turn them off. That they were a fantastic idea. The only thing is that I think people are still looking for now is to have the health bar above you. I think QED was talking about that on Zero to Hero this past week, and I can see why people would want it, but I mean, I also think that the giant red orb at the center of your interface is decent enough with the contrast of like the black background of it that you can just kind of glance down and look back up and get an idea of where your health is in a general sense. So
I wonder if people are like looking more for percentages on the health bar rather than just that might, I don't know, help a little bit better.
I don't know. Like if you're really looking for like what your numbers are, you can always click on someone and then like have them try and damage themselves. And then like if you're looking to gauge your numbers after changing gear, you can figure that out other ways. But I really just would think you'd kind of need to know, okay, someone's health is full, little low, halfway, oh my god, they're going to die. And then if the bar turns red, well then you've already screwed up as a healer. But
yeah, and so hopefully they're listening to people's feedback on this case. But yeah, I think and like Zachary was saying, some people want like a color gradient. I think kind of like what you were saying. Like, yeah, I think that would help too. I've always known people that wanted to see like percentages from like days in WoW.
Right. The other thing though is I know they kind of don't want you to play the UI. They want you to play the game. So I can understand why the devs would be kind of iffy on putting too much in the way of health bars in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Any other thoughts on the new health bar, Age? Or?
I haven't tried them. I don't really need that.
Like people don't last that long against him. That's why.
Mostly it's just I think for me it'd be beneficial for like raids or something like that. I could see it being useful for PvP because I use the minuscule UI view, so it's more room for me to see things, but it's more of a, I have to glance up and actually see health bars, so I could see it being useful in PvP. For raids, the UI there is enough for me to gauge when people are low and things if I'm a healer. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, if anybody's watching that's usually a healer in raids, like, have you tried it with the new health bars? Is it making it better for you? Because I know coming from WoW, when I used to heal in WoW, having like the add-on that gave you like bigger health bars and stuff just made it so much nicer. So
yeah,
I'm sure this is a dream come true for the healers out there. So definitely let us know if you are one of them, and if you got to try them. Also, in the patch notes, the LFG tool, the search results filter, has been improved to support exclusion filters, and it now has improved support for multi-word filters. As an example, players can filter out sellers and require the phrase level 80 in the results by using the following filter -WTS-sell, and then in quotations level 80. So, and was this attempted to be implemented on Tuesday? Because then throughout the week they actually had to turn off LFG, which I heard some people talking about. Oh yeah, that really made like a dragon stand kind of fun to try to get into, which I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh yeah, old content.
Ouch.
yeah.
Hey, dragon stand is still fun.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely think it's fun content. It's just,
It's fun when people are there to help you do it.
yeah,
Meta maps are great when there are people in them.
Yeah.
when you can organize them, which makes the LFG tool. But I think it was either Thursday night or Friday. I think they actually got it back up, so you should be good to go if you are, watching this live now or, on YouTube.
Almost feels like they need to have the ability to like have a version of it that's like their test version, and they can swap it out with the code that's in game, kind of like a live test, a live/test kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that, oh crap, our new changes broke it, so let's swap the old one back in.
Yeah, chat saying chat was full of LFG for looking for group for Fractals. The good old days.
Yeah, makes you appreciate LFG a little bit, right? It's like, how do we do this without it?
Yeah, it made everybody appreciate but you can't be mad at the end. Remember, the LFG tool is still in beta.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it still has the beta tag next to it.
Wait. I'm just going to log in and check because I'm pretty sure they took the beta tag off of it.
Oh, well then this is inexcusable. Angry.
I'm not going to get mad at any dev for having something break when they try to change it. I'd rather them just actually change things and, make things better for the players.
But yeah, so you have your LFG tool back. Hopefully you appreciate what you have, because look, it could be taken away at any moment. But also we had an update with the Fractals. We kind of talked about last week, was something they were considering implementing, and it was they did implement it. So definitely, now that you get to try to test it out, hopefully give your feedback if things work, don't work. But mislock instability assignments will now randomize each week. Mislock instabilities now have unique enhancement icons. Reduce the health of fractal vindicators by 32%. Fractal vindicators will now rally players when killed. And fractal vindicators will now have a thin red ring telegraph for their area of affected attacks. And fractal avengers will no longer trigger last laugh. So,
which is probably a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how the new instabilities work out. If anyone in chat knows, let us know. But
and are they working out better for you? Because I know their attempts were to whitelist some of them in certain tiers, and blacklist. And
It might have been QED talking in chat on Wednesday about. Yep, there it is. Thanks, QED. Yeah, I think he was saying that Wednesday 100 challenge mode was bullshit.
Yeah. Now that I do remember a few complaints that Katie had. But warranted, because I did question if the instabilities was the random instabilities was a good idea, where you could specifically have a set per fractal given different types of mechanics that go on, different mobs and things like that. But
I honestly still think it's a good idea, personally, but I can understand where certain fractals would be problematic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was just going to say, it's kind of like what Netco's saying. They like the idea of random instability. It's something new, different every time, but it is going to take a while to hopefully fine-tune it so you don't have things that, like we say all the time, they probably internally tested it for the initial, like, what ones not to put together and in certain ones, but there's nothing like a bunch, loads of people testing it, which
There's
it's like...
no test like live.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll be listening to people like saying like this just does not work in this level fractal, and
yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll hear more about this developing. And yeah, I think everybody likes the idea of, like we said, the idea of the random instability, but implementations, the reality is what makes it the difficult part.
The other issue, I think, is the relatively low number of instabilities in general. So if there were more instabilities, I think people would find it more interesting because they wouldn't run into all of the possible variables so quickly. And then at the same time, they'd be able to keep some of the more onerous combinations from happening, but not like lock themselves up into a boring combination. Because 75 plus is 3 instabilities, right? So
yeah, that would be tier 4. So
if there's like of the couple instabilities, if there's like 4 of them, you don't ever want to be all together, or even 2 of them together on the same fractal. Like that really cuts down the whitelist on certain things. So I really do think they just need to add more fractal instabilities to the list before this system can really get running.
And I'm trying to remember if like they said that like with this new system, if it does work, that it allows it to be implemented a little bit easier to have different, fractal instabilities, since they're not set in stone per level.
And I tend to agree with your point, Mithrin. Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's hopefully I'm sure at this point in the game that they are aware that if that's the reason behind it, they don't count that as it's like you had to make me actually like learn my build or learn a different build. Like,
I mean, to be fair, ArenaNet made it really easy to change your builds out. I can understand not wanting to keep like crazy amounts of extra gear, but changing out a few traits, switching out to a different weapon set, do it. Just be flexible, because it can make the difference.
And who knows, maybe if they make it that difficult, they'll make a way to get legendary armor in the fractals, since you might be switching out your...
I would...
Like, if that is the case, that might be switching out your armor more than, like, raids. I mean...
I would love to see fractal armor skins. Like, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'd have more incentive to make build templates.
They don't need any more incentive to make build templates. The incentive has been the same level since the game released.
Pardon me, because we were talking about that Ada before the show. I think you said it was Guild Wars 1 was doing AMA. Now I kind of want to be like, can you tell the Guild Wars 1 devs to share the code for the build templates for Guild Wars 2? But
I'm wondering if that would be even remotely compatible.
Probably
not. No.
Probably not, but still, it's music.
And that's why we mean it in jest, though. We know that it's, pretty complicated. I mean, look at like when they talked about the Super Adventure box way back. The reason they couldn't bring it back was the game updated so much. It broke that thing itself. Like,
Well,
so
SAP
imagine
was
something
based
that
on,
was, yeah,
wasn't SAP based on bugs in the physics engine, and then they fixed the bugs?
yeah.
So they basically had to specially re-enable the bugs in order to get Super Adventure Box to work.
But that's why I'm saying, just imagine having to fix that, have something code that I think even uses the same engine and stuff like that, but is not even of the same game. So yeah, they did get saved as text files. That is true. Like, I remember you could go onto, what was it, the Guild Wars, I forget the one where you could look at builds and you could just download the little file. It was definitely nice. But anyway, next, also another thing that, sorry about that, came out was in PvP. So there is now a new game option for standard friendly models. This overrides models on your own team with the same standard models we use for the standard enemy models. Also, the trebuchet in Battle of Kylo has been changed. It is now a ground target effect, and it displays a warning circle in the area of effect. The camera also provides a better view of the map when in use. And there is now an arena rule set version of Courtyard in custom arenas. So,
I haven't used standard models ever, to be honest. I kind of actually enjoy seeing the
different
the
looks
fashion wars in PvP. I mean, it's not like people run around with just the default gear a lot. People actually take the time to skin themselves, and I dig it, and I don't want to, take that out. But the Kylo change, the trebuchet, is fantastic. It still has the turn time. It just basically automates the turning for you towards the point, and you still have the charge. It's basically just takes all of the guesswork out of the trebuchet controls. Mm-hmm. Like when you go from I'm bombarding far, and then I turn and I drop the target on home, the trebuchet still takes the time to turn, and the farther away your shot is, the longer it's going to charge up, just like if you were actually firing the trebuchet. And the camera zoom, you can see every single point perfectly from the default camera zoom. Wooden Potatoes put a video in about the general updates in this patch, and he said if you leave the arena while in that camera mode, it actually forcibly pulls your camera back out like that wherever you are. So your camera gets stuck like that until you zone out until you hit another loading screen. And my response to that was like, can we just get an option to be able to zoom that far out?
Yeah.
Because that would be some really great scenery shots if you were able to pull that far back.
I set up my camera settings so that when I zoom out of the game, I see like a good chunk of the what's in front of me. I kind of want it to always be like that, but yeah.
Mithrin, you say that, and I get that map a lot. Maybe we should queue together.
It'll balance out.
Yeah, then we'll get it like half as much as I get it.
I'll say maybe. Well, I'll say it's maybe more people are willing to try it now that like the trebuchet isn't.
I've actually seen people using the trebuchet, so and they, at the very least, they didn't take out the audio cues that mortar fire, the trebuchet fire is coming in. Sure, you get the red ring on the ground, but you still hear the yell when something's coming in. So
yeah, I like the ring, especially the area effect that they added, because sometimes you have to actually see the shot to time it properly. But yeah. The ring helps.
Well, QD, with your critique on the fractal thing, funny you mention, I think next Friday, the 16th, they are actually going to be playing Fractals on their Twitch page, if I'm not mistaken.
Give them a piece of your mind in a constructive manner.
Yep.
But
And I'm fairly certain that they played the fractals with their own instabilities. I mean, I don't think they just kind of slapped fractals onto something and said, okay, this should be okay. But
and we'll definitely get to your second topic because that's one of the things we'll be talking about later. But also in the update, War v World Concentration Expertise War v World infusions are now available for sale at War v World Laurel Merchants and the War v World Skirmish Supervisor, and also added War v World vendors to Obsidian Sanctum spawn areas. So I guess nice little quality of life so you can get to the vendors and stuff.
Or boon duration. More condi duration. Hey.
More condi spam and dub v dub.
This is fine.
Meanwhile, everything is on fire and poisoned and bleeding.
Yeah. But so that was, besides the living story stuff, like I said, we're gonna save to the end. That was basically from the update that we got this Tuesday. And if you are wondering what QED was mentioning, were you gonna say something?
We could talk about the map a little bit, can we? Or not? Would that be?
I think last time we did that, it felt so awkward because we're like, oh, this could be. Well, it's like kind of a. So I don't know. I think it's just better to just lump it all in together, like
the map. Yeah, I guess the map in this case is kind of spoilery.
But
since half of it.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah. But yeah, if you saw in chat, QD was talking about the fractals. His second point about removing GG really would hurt fractals. That, if you're wondering what that is, that ANet is talking about that on their forums. So it's not implemented yet, but they are looking for a rework to GG to avoid fractal exploits. And they said, they didn't read this whole thread, but they will say we are considering removing cooldown reset from GG and instead moving it to mislock singularities as /GG after every encounter /trash fight to reset is not what we had in mind with that feature. This would involve doing a pass on all the mislock singularities to make sure they aren't in boss fights, as well as adding a failsafe buff that prevents you from resetting cooldowns in combat. So
I don't know. Like, I feel like they should just put adrenal mushrooms in somewhere that grow after a boss fight, or that are there at a checkpoint at that point. Like, just make use of the stuff you already have in game. If it's being done for CD resets,
technically that would be the mislocks, I guess. Because those would be the checkpoint. Mislocks are technically at the checkpoints where you're having a boss. So I guess that's what they want to do.
Like I can, and that's what what Neko is saying, is having to GG to like just killing yourself in order to reset your cooldowns. It's not good gameplay. Yeah. Like it's not good for the standard like gameplay loop that you want people doing. What was it when I think they just set it so that in raids when your party wipes, your skills are like it just auto refreshes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they also said later on, if you grabbed a mislock singularity in combat, you would probably get a buff with which your cooldowns will be reset the next time you exit combat, which is kind of what they were reiterating in the thing. Because I know people were then questioning, how are they going to detect this kind of stuff? But yeah, so ultimately, I'm not a fan of people using the /GG to make it. I'm guessing it's used for speed running like more efficiently, but so I'm kind of glad that they're looking into making it make more sense.
Mm. Yeah. I understand. I would say like resetting long cooldowns. Like let's say you're fighting a trash mob and you use like a big cooldown, takes like 3 minutes to respawn, and then you have a boss fight, but you have to wait for that cooldown. But if there's like a mist lock nearby to reset that, then that's fine in my opinion. So yeah, if they do that, that's okay by me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's like, how far do you go to facilitate speed running? Like I understand that like people want to be able to do their runs, but like I'm not quite sure I understand your point, QED. Like, I'm not saying that it's like, the reason I say it's like purposefully killing yourself to reset your cooldowns, it's not good from a game design standpoint. Like, you don't want to die. Like, that should be the point of any game where death is supposed to be a bad thing. Like, you shouldn't want to die in a game unless there's a specific mechanic in a fight that requires you do so. Like I could see some of the stuff in like the underworld that could require characters to die in order to do something, and then as a ghost they do something to get back into the raid fight. That would have been really cool, but that's more additional mechanics that are part of a fight, not actual character death. Actual character death, yeah.
I understand what he means. It's because like if he just if he's about to go into a big fight, right? And he you know he has like a 2-minute cooldown on something, and he just wants to reset it. He'll GG and he'll get it back, right? From my and I think he's saying like it doesn't really change as much, and I guess from that perspective it's okay. But if there are other means that people are using /GG to like skip mobs, for example, that is problematic.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing that I thought they were talking about. Yeah,
that was the other problematic part that I could see. I don't know how you would do it, but
well, you'd have one person rush to a checkpoint, and then the whole team would GG, and then everybody would spawn at the checkpoint.
Oh,
it's kind of one of those reasons where if you're doing the dolphin fractal, if one person gets to the boss chamber, it's fine. So
yeah, okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I've done that.
So one of the things that I saw in the Reddit thread is that like a mesmer would just kind of just blow everything and blink forward as far as they could get, and then they'd hit a checkpoint, then everyone would GG, and then they'd res, and then they'd have all their cooldowns back, and they'd do it again.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I don't think honestly, I don't think the reset def thing is that much of a big deal. But if they're just going to replace it with the Mistlock Singularity, I feel like it equates if it's just concerning resetting cooldowns. Because I can see it from both sides. Because I see it's kind of meh at the same time, but I could see it as from a game standpoint, it's like you don't want to die. I see it from both sides. So it's very interesting in that respect.
And then Zekriox, you have a point there. Is like it's the, do we want a boss rush that is nothing but a hallway with bosses in it, or do we want something else? Like, considering how relatively easy some of the enemies are to dispatch in Cliffside for some of the lower ones, why bother? Just have them get the hammer and then go smack it. Why does the hammer even have mechanics to it? Just let the players pick up the hammer and run up the platform. I mean, it's more the difference between, are you running it for the gameplay or are you running it for the rewards? And if you make everything about the rewards, then anything that you have to do that is extraneous to speed, then you're going to want that taken out. If it's just about the rewards to how you play, you're going to want to do as little as possible. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but from a development standpoint, you kind of have to make that balance. Is like, do you want to just make a time attack kind of thing?
I've also seen some other interesting ideas. Is that like insert a mechanic, insert extra rewards if you don't /GG or don't die or something like that. That would be kind of interesting as well. But I don't know how far that would go.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, but yeah, I mean, and like Zekra was talking about, would we want a boss rush fractal? It's like, I mean, we do have like a couple that, I mean, they used to be boss fractals. So, but yeah, I don't know if we would. I don't know. Would you guys want more of those, like just a sole boss fractal, or?
I would. I'm totally okay with that.
I would like a fractal. I wouldn't mind a fractal, like one of the fractals just being a straight up gauntlet. That would be kind of interesting.
Where you're fighting what, multiple, or you mean you're just like running down the hallway and fighting trash, or an actual like just
like
a gauntlet of just different bosses?
Kind of like if you took Diablo, like Diablo 3, and you're just like, let's say one of the, like a sewer, for example, and you're just running through, and then you like fight mobs until you like reach a boss, and then you just keep going till you reach the end of the tunnel. I don't know how many bosses you have to fight, but
basically we're talking just something that I would like to see. One of the most fun things I've done in gaming, honestly, in the last 5 years was the last stand mode in Warhammer Warhammer 40K Dawn of War 2, where it's you and 2 other people all select hero units from a few of the fractions of the Warhammer 40K franchise, and it's just horde mode. And you have to survive for as many waves as possible. And I would love to see a fractal like that, because I think that Guild Wars 2 has some really good, crazy AoE mechanics. And they could even set it up such that, I don't know, maybe they could have increased target caps for AoEs in those places. I don't know. That would be really friggin' cool.
I wouldn't mind seeing like a horde mode thing, game style, but also I like Mithrin's idea of like maybe a next level fractal of just like fractal mastery, where you can stack the mistlock singularities and you can kind of use them when you want to, or you know, in case you do die at a certain point. But oh, go ahead.
QED, you're talking about speedrunning in dungeons. I have the same problems with speedrunning in dungeons as I do with having them in fractals. That was my issue as a tank in World of Warcraft. Because, you know, I had less than 5-minute queues for the looking for group tool. I had people clamoring at me to speedrun stuff, and some of the stuff I didn't feel comfortable speedrunning. I will skip certain bits that, you know, were just too onerous for me to do, but I'm not really that into doing things quickly. Like, I'm not into shaving seconds. If I can do something if I can do a fractal in 15 minutes, I think that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are like, I can do it in under 5. I'm like, that's great. You've done a good job.
And
good on you, mate.
I was attempting to back Age into a corner when he was mentioning like going down like his example of going down the sewer thing and fighting mobs and then bosses along the way, and you weren't sure of how many bosses. I'm like, huh. So kind of on a set path of an area, fighting mobs and like basically trash mobs and then a boss. Sounds a lot like dungeons that we used to have. Like,
well, the difference with dungeons and what I really liked about dungeons is that there are different paths you can take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in my example, it would just be like one set straight path, I guess. Because I'm thinking, because there's a game called Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance where to unlock a character, it's really good. But there was a gauntlet style type of mode to unlock a character, and you would have to go through the bosses in the game and you have to fight them and beat them in order to unlock said character. I think it was Drizzt actually, but
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going with. So it would just be like you would run in the hallway and you would fight a boss, and the boss could be like from a fractal. Like for example, what's his name, Moss Man. Like that would be like one boss you could potentially run into. You kill him and you move on. That's the type of thing I was thinking of. Whereas in dungeons, you would have a different explorable paths with different story, and that gauntlet fractal would just be like, you know, it doesn't have a story necessarily. It's just straight up fighting bosses.
And honestly, like I mean, QED, I know because you guys have done the guides and stuff, and like you're really into fractals. I've never been a fan of speed running, especially when the mentality is move, like rush past everything. Like what's impressive about running past everything? I mean, if I go sign up for a marathon race and just walk to the end of the finish line and go, I've done it in like 5 minutes. Why is it taking you guys like 14 hours? Like, on my level, it's like we have to go all the way around. Yeah, but it's right there. Like, I can literally walk. It's like it's not. I never feel impressed by people running past everything and not fighting things. It's like
I don't have a speedrun mentality, but
and when I say I don't like speedrunning, it's more I don't. It's like when I see people speedrunning console games and stuff. Like a friend of mine was real big into watching the From Software games, Dark Souls and Bloodborne speedruns. I'm cool with that, but then they started glitching, and I don't like speedrunning like that. I'm looking at this /GG as like metagaming the mechanics. You're not using something in the game to speedrun. You're not using an interesting interaction between abilities. You're not really doing anything technically difficult in the game to speedrun. It's just you're using a mechanic that was supposed to make things easier for you so you didn't have to wait to wipe. Because that was the point of GG in the first place. It was to make it so that, okay, we lost one person, we literally cannot beat this, so instead of waiting to die, hard reset, go again.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm trying to see it from QD's perspective, and I can understand, like for example, that underwater fractal. I hate going through that dolphin part, and if someone gets there and like, great, GG, let's continue. I understand it from that perspective. Like, there's just annoying bits that I don't want to spend like 50 minutes trying to do, and I totally understand from that perspective. I don't know what other parts of fractals you can skip like that, but maybe in that case, or ANet needs to add mechanics where like all 5 people have to get through to continue. Like for example, was it the Aether Blade one, where there are those 4 panels that people have to unlock to progress. I think maybe they have, when they design fractals in the future, they have to add mechanics like that if they want to avoid, if they want players to avoid skipping mechanics.
And honestly, I kind of like Mithrin's idea because of like the map changing as you're progressing. Like if they could figure out how to randomize that like on the fly, like that's why I kind of liked about what was it, the first fractal during the story arc, where it was like a bunch of different ones slammed together. So it was like as you progress through, it turned into this part of one of the other fractals, and I think it was the first one, because the second one was the Nightmare Tower type thing. So yeah, the first one was just basically like a bunch of different fractals put together. There was a way to figure out how to randomize that of sorts. Like I would like that idea of like, and like, yeah, you could make possibly any room like a boss fight, like Scruffy 2.0. Boy, would that be a pretty crazy boss fight. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. It's gonna. They are thinking about it. They haven't said they're doing it or not. So I don't know. Leave your feedback on that forum thread. We'll have it in the YouTube video for sure. So you guys can comment on it for yourselves. If you are a speedrunner or a fractal runner in general, just leave your opinions.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear from the speedrunners. I mean, I heard QED talking about that. Feels like it's gonna kill maybe the speedrunning scene. I mean, do you guys, if you're a fellow speedrunner, are you as worried or?
I could see it, right? Because if they have to, if people are used to speedrunning and they have to clear mobs, they just might get annoyed and might not like do fractals less, or just do the fractals that they can easily get through quickly. I can see that. I totally understand it. It's like with World versus World, the new World versus World changes. It's going to definitely affect roaming, and I'm a roamer, and that's going to definitely like hurt it or kill it. So, I definitely see where he's coming from in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, who knows how this will develop? Hopefully,
Yeah.
I hear more from the speedrun community because they are part of the game. While I'm not, speedrunner, I think everybody should be having fun.
Mm-hmm.
But any other thoughts on the possible change to the /GG?
I think it's gonna. I think ArenaNet should really take heavy consideration into this because it does seem like a lot of people do like this mechanic, but I understand at the same time it does not. It's not what you had in mind at the same time, so you have to find that common ground. That's what I usually say in most situations like this, but I think it's actually pretty prevalent here. So finding common ground between the speedrunners and ANet and regular fractal runners, I guess.
Well, I apologize if I'm retreading anything that's been talked about prior to this, but Netco brought it up earlier, is that speedrunning was a thing even before GG.
Mm-hmm.
It's just GG made it faster.
Yeah, but I think the difference is that you're taking away a thing that made it faster, right?
Right, but that's the GG wasn't introduced to make runs faster. GG was introduced so that you wouldn't have to sit there and wait for someone to be finished while downed, or wait for someone to bleed out because they weren't being attacked by a boss, or they were in an area where it wasn't something that was going to happen quickly.
Yeah, I understand from that perspective, but if you're going to introduce something that made things easier, potentially easier, even though you didn't plan for it in that feature to be the case, and then you suddenly take it away, it's going to have an effect. It's going to ruffle feathers in that sense.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're never going to please everybody, but I mean, Malfans is saying, it's not working as intended. So
no, but they're doing it now. That's the interesting bit, right?
Well, I mean, it's a little hard for them to do it last week because time doesn't work that way. I mean, it's like once they put it out there, it was out there.
When did they introduce this?
GG and Fractals a while ago.
Yeah,
it's been at least months.
So, it's an interesting discussion now. I guess we're talking a bit too much about it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so early on. Like once we have more information, because it sounds like they don't even have the solution for it yet. Like they're slowly working on it by the sounds of it, but they're not quite there yet. And like Chad's saying, people are always going to find ways to break things. I mean,
and speedrunners more so. And honestly, half the time I applaud them for that because there are skill interactions that I never would have thought of. Mm-hmm. And it's impressive. But there are points in time where I look at gaming the system and I think that it's just not really what was intended. So.
And yeah, any final thoughts on the fractal or the GG and fractals?
Mm-mm.
Well, hopefully we'll get more information on it. Also, this past week, Massively OP put out an article, their daily grind column that they started talking about. Do you enjoy MMO data mining? And they talk about World of Warcraft, but they also started talking about Guild Wars 2 community and kind of the data mining and leaks around POF and stuff like that, and kind of the resident data miner of Guild Wars 2 community. That shaman kind of responded and slightly felt attacked, but we'll link to the Twitter thread. We're not really going to talk about the drama that was exchanged between the two, because it did get resolved. That shaman was talking about how maybe they overreacted a little bit or something towards it, but I can definitely see where they were coming from, because when they were talking about data mining and leaks and kind of comparing the two, I mean, at this time, more than likely, if you ask someone in the Guild Wars 2 community, like, oh, who are the data miners here, you're probably just going to stop at that shaman. I mean, though, granted, during POF, we did have others that kind of popped out of nowhere, and I know some of those ones, and I do want to say this at the top. And I think we've said this in the past when we've kind of talked about, well, we don't talk about data mine stuff because it might not ever come in. If it does show up later, we do talk about, when they did put it up, in hindsight type thing. So I think we've always said, like, kudos to that shaman, like, of having their own morality system to it, like, because they've never really, to the best of my knowledge, posted about like leaks or like stories specific stuff, but maybe like, oh, here's like a cool piece of armor, or maybe like some like assets, or something. But usually they have a good frame of reference of when to put it out. Like if it's like a mechanic or something, they talk about it afterwards, or maybe pause. I still remember the season 1 when supposedly Marjorie was meant to die, and there was actually a sound clip in the data mine stuff that shaman had. They didn't post about that till I think we were going into hot. Like they waited a good bit, like oh, this was a cool thing of what maybe was in there to throw people off. Maybe it was in there and they changed it. We don't know, but it was that like little bit of stuff, like. And yeah, like Chad's saying, that that shaman's a more respected one. Like, yeah, like I said, I think that shaman has like a good moral standing compared to some of the other data miners that kind of popped up during POF going, I started digging through and this is what I found. And those people definitely spoiled stuff. But I never thought of that shaman as one.
And if we're talking about the difference between data mining and leaking always had the connotation to me that it was somebody on the inside releasing something that should not be available to the public, period, the end, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And then data mining is, I have the files that are publicly distributed that are the source files of the game to run on my machine. Let's dig through these right now and see what we find. It's already disseminated to everybody in the world that plays the game. I just happen to have the means to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're doing anything like breaking into somebody's files to look at stuff if you're a data miner. But there are instances like when that shaman found that bit about Marjorie, and I literally didn't know about that until halfway through season 2.
Oh yeah, I think it was like casually mentioning, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it was like halfway through. It was like partway through season 2, or like even into Heart of Thorns or something, that I heard about it, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I still think they changed it because I guessed it right.
Yeah, clearly.
I have an article that I wrote that I said I thought Marjorie was going to die out of everyone because they would have the most impact. Anyway,
but yeah, like we're kind of focusing on like massively kind of responded to that shaman's tweets about like, you know, differentiating between the two, and I kind of want to make sure I say it right, but it was kind of like they like, oh, and this was him replying to like, of course they've spoiled stuff in the past and they said they didn't type thing, but and they said, and see the reply, you're off base on this one, except in that you're right, the masteries were data mined, or weren't data mined, sorry. They were leaked by an internal tester, same result. So it's kind of saying
that I didn't like.
Yeah, that was where I kind of had like an issue with it, was because in the article they don't say that shaman, like they don't specifically say that shaman or anything like that. But like I said, you can if you're a Guild Wars 2 person in the community, if you hear data miner, your first step's probably going to be to do that shaman, because like I said, I've only seen other ones during POF when people were just apparently they got the software and just started, you know, being too crazy with it, and that shaman at least had, you know, morals and stuck to them.
Honestly, half the problem I had is with Twitter showing me stuff that the people I follow like. So I see a bunch of people that I know from the show and everything, they like stuff that shaman has, and I'm like, I didn't want to see that yet.
Yeah.
Damn it, Twitter.
But yeah, I think that was the interesting bit when they said that, because in their article they were talking about data miner. The article was based on data miners, but they were talking about POF leaks, which were leaked by testers, and I think that's what ruffled that shaman's feathers. And I think that's where, and if you follow we followed the weekly news show, we know that POF was leaked, and if anything, there were no data mined. At least as far as I know, there was no data mined stuff besides maybe armors or stuff like that. And it really is kind of defining the difference between leaks versus data mining. And I think, and it also shows the difference between responsible data mining and not responsible data mining. And in that respect, I think that Shamans does a pretty good job.
Yeah. And honestly, if it was gonna continue, because luckily they resolved it, and, you know, I guess talked behind closed doors to figure things out. But I was very tempted, because like you're saying, they talked about leaked stuff as it was data mined. I was like, how did that shaman data mine a screenshot? Because that was like one of the big things that was going around. It's like I don't think they put a screenshot in their thing, like, oh, I hope they find this. Like,
yeah, that's not a thing. Like, you don't get screenshots from data mining.
So, and I know that was one of the bigger things that was floating around as a POF spoiler back then. But yeah, ultimately, I am curious of, like, I think we all stand in the same spot on it, but like, I'm wondering, Chad, and do you know, if people are watching on YouTube, do you think data miners and leakers are the same thing? Like, do you think the end result is the same thing? Like, do you think they should be lumped together or not? I mean, I'm kind of curious, because I see them differently, especially I think one that's at the quality that shaman does. Because like I said, I remember during POF, some people that came out of the woodworks like, oh, I took, you know, I tried data mining and stuff too, and, you know, I found these things, and it's like, well, that's kind of a, you know, big deal thing. Thanks.
Yeah. I think leaks are legit huge spoilers to content that we have no idea that's coming, or people would be like legit happy about when it's actually officially announced, versus data mining, which is like stuff that's in the game that didn't make it, or that or in the case of the way that shaman does it, it's like upcoming stuff, right?
Yeah, like the paper bag helms, right, Dale?
Or the what is it, these school outfits that. So, and I think that's what Zacharyox was saying earlier, and that is important to note, is if you do deal with data mining, that doesn't mean it's going to be implemented. That's just maybe something they were playing around with, and kind of like what Jim's saying, and with the paper bag helmets that I think have been there since South Sun, I think was when they came out.
That's what you told me about.
Maybe right around Halloween, like the Halloween before that. So yeah, it's which, if for people don't know, I think that was the first Halloween, so roughly 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So generally, chat sees it differently as well. So.
Well, that's.
I mean, I think Zachryox's point is that leaking is a bit more malicious. I agree with that. I think leaking definitely has a bit more of a malicious intent to it.
Yeah. Kate does bring up a good point as well, that things might come months later. And that's why I'm very selective when I see that Shaman tweets, or even when I go on Dolphy, because because when I look up stuff for the jump store for talking Skritt, I know there's some things every now and then that will be like upcoming items or stuff that has been found, but for like in terms of Path of Fire, like I stayed away from everything remotely possible, even like leaks, data mine stuff, whatever it was. Like I tried to stay away from it because I wanted to experience it firsthand. But like that's my decision to like knowingly go on that shaman's Twitter. It's like, hey, let's see what's up here, and or if I go on Dolphin, it's like this is like Alonian armor that was data mined. I'm like, I'm going to be very selective about how I navigate the internet in that fashion.
Yeah, and honestly, and I think that's what Cutie was saying before, was they prefer to be surprised, and yeah, that's why, like when Tuesday rolls around, I'm probably sitting at work. I have Reddit at my disposal. It's like I avoid anything that says spoiler, and I unfortunately at that time avoid anything that says that shaman data mine, because it's like, it's stuff that is in that release, like, oh, it might be like a mini or something, but it's like a mini of like maybe the boss or something you find. It's like, no. So yeah, I tend to avoid it, but I always like to go back and look and see, like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm curious if you're watching this on YouTube, how you fall on this subject of should they be lumped together, or is there definitely a difference between the two? And I kind of like, Jim, what you were mentioning about what Zachryox was saying of leaking seems more malicious, whereas data mining is, you have access to it. And like Mithrin said, leakers more than likely are breaking NDA if, especially in that POF situation, that was definitely under NDA, and data miners, kind of like I think what you guys were saying before, these are files that are already on your computer. Like they've already released them to you technically. They're just not activated in the game.
Yeah.
But in the end, if you don't want to see them, definitely avoid those posts. And like, that's one reason why we don't tend to show the leak stuff on the show. For it's stuff that might not even come out or won't come out for months on end, like Kate was saying. And so
yeah, so always feel free to watch Talking Skritt spoiler free.
Yeah.
Friends.
Here's a shameless plug for the people that are already watching.
Well, tell your friends. Hey.
There you go. You can just clip this part and then send it to them. Like, see, they don't. But, while we don't show off like that shaman stuff, like I said, I really respect that shaman for having that like line, like that morality of not wanting to just show off everything that they come across. But and yeah, chat's talking about other YouTubers that say spoiler or no spoilers but have spoilers. Yeah, I try to be somewhat careful about that, but it's tough. I mean, especially if you get excited about something. But and no one, if you caught earlier when we were asking about, oh, should we talk about the map, or it's like no one knows how far the spoiler bubble goes, so it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I know some people that consider the teaser trailer a spoiler, which, I mean, it's a tease. So yes, it's technically, I guess, spoiling something of the aspect. But,
Spoiler-ish.
yeah, but
I've dealt with some weird things that people consider spoilers, especially in last week too. Like, yeah. But anyway,
there you go. I like Red Wolf's thing. Watch Talking Skritt for discussions on Guild Wars 2, Corgis, and Ryan Reynolds movies. Okay, so another thing that popped up on Reddit was this past week, a Reddit post first involving a stream kit. Like someone kind of pieced together like their own stream kit and kind of gave it gave it to the Reddit community and anybody else from Guild Wars 2 community to stream using like Guild Wars 2 assets to make it look nicer. And a lot of people were like, oh, this is cool, sweet. And I think a response came of like, well, are there any Guild Wars 2 streamers? Like, yeah.
Raise your hands if you're a Guild Wars 2 streamer.
technically, Dale, you are too.
I stream about it. I stream about it.
Counts.
It counts.
We use the category. So. Nah, I don't stream Guild Wars 2. No one does. But yeah, so this made one of the ArenaNet partners, I'm probably gonna butcher the name, so apologies, Shahils, aka Georges. I don't know, is that how you say it? Because it just makes me think of a Georgian person saying gorgeous, like Georges. Like.
Oh, now I'm gonna always say it like that now.
Like sipping my peach tea because you're so Georges.
Oh my god.
Anyway, but on Twitch, they saw a response in that thread about Guild Wars 2 Stream Kit. Yeah, the actual response was, now we need people to just stream Guild Wars 2. So it's like, and in response, they kind of made a thread about it, talking about how Guild Wars 2 has low figures and that we would like more exposure to the Guild Wars 2 community of Guild Wars 2 streamers and for more people to stream Guild Wars 2 as well. And I don't know, I guess the comments were kind of mixed. Like a lot of people were just, at first a lot of people were like, oh, you're just trying to plug your own stuff, which I don't think that was their intent. I mean, they're already a partnered streamer and stuff like that. Like, it would have looked dodgy if they were a partner streamer and been like, I can post my thing up. Like if they would have put their thing, like their link up to, get a kickback stuff, but they didn't do any of that. Like,
I had to find this person's Twitch.
Yeah, it's
they didn't post anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and chat saying, they're saying peachy and and bog otter, wooden potatoes, like you guys were talking about before. There's we've had inks on the show. It's like there's loads of streamers, and I think there's even more. Like, I think during after show we usually try to throw it over to like a like lower number count viewer. It's like I don't know. I as I look through them on the weekends, there's a good handful. Is it League of Legends or Overwatch or Fortnite or PUBG? No, but
I think this is the person's point, right? Because Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a lot of exposure as a game on Twitch, and recently we like this Jardis mentioned that
I'm so sorry if that
but we peak at around like 1,000, 1,400 viewers, like for the game itself. And I think someone said when Potatoes caps out around 400, maybe 500 people nowadays, when it used to like cap out like 1,000. And it's just that the traction isn't there, and I've seen the arguments of why it's hard to watch Guild Wars 2 streams. Like, there's a lot of particle effects for PvP. There's if you don't play PvP, you don't necessarily know what's going on. Things like that. Sometimes.
I will say that is one of the hell. I know most of the class abilities, and I still don't know what goes on half the time. There's no good death recap on what killed you. So
there's and it's, you know, it really comes down to basically people's personalities, and people watch for that more so than just for the game itself at that point. So bringing traction, bringing exposure to Guild Wars 2 streams, that would be very helpful if, you know, and I think the streamer said he would actually talk to ANet about, you know, giving more exposure to Guild Wars 2 streamers in that respect. But I don't know if ANet's happy with the way streams are going with Guild Wars 2. I honestly don't know, because I haven't seen many. I think they're more focused on the art community right now, and it seems like they kind of have focus groups as like per year. So this year is kind of, this year and a bit of last year was like more on the art. Like 3 years ago it'd be about streamers, and like 2 years ago, two to a year and a half ago, it'd be more about PvP, you know. So I feel like the focus changes over time. So
yeah, and I've noticed a couple comments like that, like Zachary Ox bring up. It's like mentioning better to play the game than watch. I definitely I think as someone that is maybe just passing by, definitely it's a better game to play than watch. But I've said this in the past, like if you're like a new streamer and you want like maybe like 20 people to pop in, if you like Guild Wars 2, just make your title like new to Guild Wars 2, because honestly the Guild Wars 2 community loves like helping people out, like, and it's like, hey, you need any tips? What do you like? Are you stuck on something? Let me like. So honestly, like I said, I wish I was able to do that, but I'm like, yeah, I'm a new player that has all 80s and all the way through. Like that wouldn't work. It's.
Well, Deo, you could definitely say you were a new player if you wanted to PvP.
Kate, about bigger names like Peachy and Bog, they stream Guild Wars 2 and it's like a new story, or Peachy when she has like her parties, or for Bog, I think Bog and Peachy, like giveaways, things like that. They do this because they're more variety streamers now, because that is their main job, and Guild Wars, just streaming Guild Wars 2 isn't enough to keep up, you know, the funds to actually, you know, provide for their lifestyle, their families, like Bog's kids and things like that, right? So you have to, they're usually on top of like newest games, things like that. So that's why you don't really see them stream Guild Wars 2 as much.
Yeah.
Though you would like to. Exclusively Guild Wars 2 streamers that are pretty popular, like Wooden Potatoes and Mighty Teapot. Because Mighty Teapot and Wooden Potatoes do have big communities, and they'll follow them for that stuff. They'll play in, I know Mighty Teapot at least, like they'll play in games like the World vs. World, they'll do PvP with them, raids with them, you know, things like that.
And you're not wrong, Zachary Ox, is that a lot of people want to see like new stuff. And yeah. And the other thing, Ada, I'm not entirely certain I agree with your point that, you know, yes, Bog and Peachy are fantastic streamers. They're great people. I've had a chance to meet them at, I met Bog and Peachy at PAX 2 years ago. I hung out with Bog a little bit at PAX last year. They're fantastic people. Excellent, just very friendly, wonderful people, and they're great streamers. They're very entertaining. I don't entirely agree that just because when they're streaming Guild Wars 2, no one else really can get an audience for it. It depends on what you're watching, what you want to see. Like, for me, I get, you know, 12, 15 people for Zero to Hero. Cough, cough, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But, and that's fine. I like talking to people in chat. Like, half the time I'm like, hey, QED's like, Mal, get rid of your longbow and use a greatsword when you're playing your warrior for your second weapon. Otherwise, you'll never get away from anything. And I'm like, fine, QED, I'll use a greatsword. And it worked. So again, thank you, QED. But then I also, I get to talk to people about balance and stuff. And that's one of the things I really love about games. Like whenever we have a balance patch that we talk about, I go on and on and on. It's like when Deo talks about story, especially if Abaddon is involved.
No, please, why?
Please,
we're going to talk about story.
Sorry. Yeah, go.
Stop.
But I mean, in the end, I don't care about having a big streaming audience. I just like that y'all are here. And I think that's really the goal of most people who are streaming, is they just kind of want to be entertaining.
I don't think that's kind of the main issue. I think the main issue is that a lot of people don't have a few Guild Wars streamers to watch, right? Or they don't know of like streamers to watch or find their favorite streamers. And if people in the Guild Wars 2 community, maybe they don't even know about Twitch, that could be a thing. I don't know. But if let's say, for example, ANet went back and said like, hey, we're going to be hosting this streamer, like, someone that they know of and it could be a partner or whatever. And, or like tweet out a few things like, hey, we're watching this person stream like X or the new Fractal, whatever. Like that would be like good traction for them in terms of the game and good for that person to possibly get a few followers or but yeah, I understand, Kate, like that's another that's a reason that Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a lot about about streamers, that just because the big streamers, some of them are variety now, things like that. And I totally understand from that perspective. I was just trying to explain why they do it. Yeah. Concerning Ada, concerning the story, I think Inks actually had work to do or something like that, so he had to stream it later, or something came up. Like, I would have loved to stream it like the instant it came out. I was at work.
Yeah.
So, like, I had to stream it later.
Well, I was to say, speaking of which, like, I know for a fact Ada was, I think, timing us on both sides. I don't know what she was saying in your chat, but...
Oh, believe me.
Okay. So, it's, and that's the other thing, and I think I brought up during my stream, was because she asked, why aren't you guys streaming together? It's like, well, right now we're going at a different pace. Like I guess you weren't reading everything or something. Like I would start to feel bad if I'm like hold on, Age, while you fight this stuff, I'm reading a piece of paper. Like, yeah,
that's what I tried to explain. It's that well, we both, I don't mind going through it by myself. I know, like, if I would like to play with Dale, but I don't want to interrupt his pace as well, because I know, like, Dale, like the instant I saw documents, I'm like, Dale's gonna read all of these. Like me, I would go through the story and then I would go through the story again and go back to read all those things, because I want to be in the moment when it comes to story. But that's kind of different. Age's elitist a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. But
everyone's a little bit elitist.
Yeah.
I'm elitist about my lore. No.
You're not wrong.
And yeah, I think I think everybody's hitting it pretty nice. It's like, I think Guild Wars 2 is a small game for the niche group, like kind of, and yeah, it's definitely hard because it's not a new game. I would be surprised if we have people just trickling in, except if there is an expansion. I mean, we always see the numbers. Like, I can tell you from doing the show and stuff, our numbers tend to go up a little bit like when there's an expansion, or not so much when there's a living story, which I think is sad, but that never gets as much push on like websites and stuff, because it just sounds like it's just an update. But expansion, that means something. That's something that other people from other games can grab onto.
Yeah.
But yeah. And honestly, personally for me, like people are kind of saying like, oh, like the big numbers. In the end, I would be happy with 2 people in my chat. I was originally gonna say 1 person because honestly, I've said this in the past. If you can't like, if they have donation, tips or whatever, and you just don't have the money to do it. Best thing you can do for a streamer is talk with them, especially if they're have an empty chat. Someone they can talk to and just, hang out with goes a long, for me, I know a lot more, like a longer way than, here's $3 or like, which, I don't have any of that on my account, but then I changed it to 2 just in case while I'm reading something in Guild Wars 2, they can talk to each other. So ideally I want at least 2 people.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with KD. In terms of getting, like, I've been hosted for like up to like 400 people. And I'm like, I don't know what to. It's like I can't.
What do?
I can't converse with that many people that will all at once. Like if I get hosted for something like 50 or 100, that's okay because not everyone will talk. And then you can actually I like gauging my chat and like seeing what everyone's saying and trying to have a conversation with people, even if it's like 5 different conversations at once. Some people might have like chats with other people in chat, and that's fine as well, but I like to be aware, I guess, and try to be it's just in my nature, I guess. But
yeah, and I was gonna say, yeah, that kind of goes back to the other thing I was thinking of when I forget who was saying it, but I guess most people maybe do seek out like the bigger streamers because maybe they're the ones that are going to be the more entertaining. I usually try to seek out the smaller ones because, like I said, I like to talk to them and say, hey, what's up? Like, but I don't know. I feel like I'd get lost in the shuffle with like like if I went to like a Code Carnage one, I don't expect him to see my,
If it honestly for me, if it gets much over 100 people, I'm usually just listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I join in for Bog streams, I don't often stay in chat for Bog streams. I'll be there for like the half an hour he does at the beginning where he's just talking to people, where people are filtering in, and then I'll either just I'll just listen, or just even lurk in channel, just because. But
yeah,
it's really hard to keep up with things when there's a crap ton of people there.
Yeah, I think like a combination of like what Hypnotic and QD are saying is like, I guess for a bigger streamer, it's a different mentality of you're relying on the chat itself to maintain itself. But I'm the type of person that I'd be like, hey guys, what are you talking about? That sounds like cool. Like screw the game. What are you guys talking about? Like I want to be part of the conversation. So I'd feel bad if like everything's flying up. I'm like, I think someone just tried to talk to me like 10 minutes ago or like 500 lines ago. So,
Kate, the answer is to not sleep.
That's true. Just take one day out of the week to sleep.
Yeah, go the age way. Ugh. No, thank you. But yeah, I'm interested to see if this goes anywhere with the. But honestly, I don't think we need streamers. I'd go back to I'd like to see better support for streamers, sure, and any content creators. Like I talked about in the past, this is more the streamer section, but like with Warframe and I think it was Dreadnought, which was I was talking with Hat about way back. Like they have those like Twitch drops and things like that. I'd like to see something implemented like that, but I'm not gonna like rehash all that stuff. But like things that even the non-partnered, non-ArenaNet partnered person can implement to maybe entice people to come in there.
Yeah, like for example, like right now, like we're having a conversation with you guys. This is like a good pace for me. Maybe I could like go a little faster. I could handle like a little bit faster, like conversations going on. But like we can have meaningful dialogue between you guys and us, and that's awesome. And it's a little more personal too.
You want more people, more voices. See, maybe that's just the person I am. I hate when I hate when there's like a live version of a song on a CD or something, because I'm like, or when I go to the, like you want more people, more voices. Not me. When people were starting to sing along with them, I'm like, I didn't pay you guys. I paid for a ticket to hear them. I'm like an 80-year-old curmudgeon. I know. But I must be the complete opposite person. I'm sorry, but I'm just like when people start singing along, I'm probably like up in the stands going, "Shut up!"
Wait, you've been to a concert? You left your stoop?
Yeah, I all the way to New York.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Wow.
What'd you go see in New York?
Ramstein.
Oh, okay. That's
See, I do like it when Krista went to a Coheed and Cambria concert that was here in Pittsburgh a while ago, and there was apparently part where like all of the music cuts out in one of the songs, and it's just kind of like a chanting part to it, and apparently the entire crowd got into it, and it was like cool and super creepy at the same time. If it's like planned for the audience to get into it, cool, great, I understand that. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Dale. But then again, most of the the last concert I went to, I think was BB King, and you know that was I went to there to listen to him just pick on a guitar for 2 hours and tell stories, and then he's just like, yeah, my manager tells me I have to leave. I'd love to keep staying and telling stories to you guys, but apparently I have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
that was a great concert. But I think we're just kind of getting off the rails on this.
Now we're, because I was about to respond to like Zachary, but we can talk about concerts and stuff afterwards because we still got some other stuff to go through, and also
just some other stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully we hear more about this and see how it develops. But next up, we have the gem store. And always thank you to Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. So first up, we have the branded mount pack for 1,600 gems. Now it is discounted at 2,000, and if it's anything like I think it was Winter's Day one, after like a week, it went up to that 2,000 gems or something like that. So if you do want it at the 1,600 gem price point, I would recommend, I don't know this for sure, but might want to pick it up before Tuesday. But the brand mount pack comes with one of each mount skin, so you get 5 mounts for 1,600 gems, and it's based on the branded, which are Kralkatorix minions. But so just think of it as your mount got stuck in one of the branded storms, and yeah, basically got it. So and it does have 4 die channels. You can kind of mix them around and stuff like that. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think of the mounts, and chat as well.
I like these. This, I think, is not a miss for a pack of mounts. I mean, I still wish that you'd be able to buy them individually at the non-discounted price. Like it'd be what, 400 gems a piece if they weren't discounted, because it's supposed to be 2K gems, but 1,600 if you buy the pack. But that's a minor gripe in the face of this. I think these are fantastic quality for this.
And I guess it's okay because I was gonna plug this, but unfortunately, like they didn't put it in the our clips or our promotion section but I see Ada talking about like if you wanted it see it in different colors. I will put it in the YouTube link in the YouTube description, but Ada has a video on it that actually shows off the different colors. I would say a little bit better than Dolphy's, because I think Dolphy kind of picks like a brighter color and it kind of doesn't do the crystals justice. So
I think Dolphy mostly just picks very different colors to show off where the dye channels are.
Yeah, and I was gonna say in this one situation, it just made the crystals like it. For a second, I was like, "Oh, the crystals just dye white." Like it just didn't work. I was like, "Oh, okay," but then I actually saw Ada's, and it keeps like the tips like white, but it definitely fades in really nicely. So, like I said, I'll definitely throw that in the description if you want to check out a different color palette for it. But yeah, that's what I mean. Ada is you definitely have a better color choice in it. But in chat saying they're still sticking with their Halloween. Honestly, up until this point for me, I still like the Halloween one because, like I said, you could kind of, if you wanted to, you could dye the Halloween stuff off of it if you wanted to. So much so, but yeah, I think a Halloween one is a very stable. If you want kind of like what I feel is what the mounts should have been, a 4 die channel, like kind of standard mount. Now, my opinion on these, if you do like these, like all 5 of them, definitely well worth the price. Like if you like the crystal aspect to them, which I was heavily considering it for my Revenant. But what are your guys' thoughts? Or I know Jim, you were saying you enjoy it.
I might. I'm not sure, but because this kit dies, this group dies well, but I already have the Lion, which I decided on a color palette because of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So,
oh, nice.
Yes. So now I have the King of Red Lions, but these are good. I was thinking about it, Dave, and like I wouldn't be surprised if they put out a just like it'd feel kind of scummy if they did it, but if they put out a pack of skins that was like cheaper than the normal 5 mount bundle, and it was just the base skins but had 4 die channels.
Ooh, that would be pretty.
If they did that now, that would be.
If it was like later on down the road when there's a lot more skins, I wouldn't feel too terrible bad about it. But it's one of those things where it's like some of the mounts look good just as the base model. The reason I want the polished stone jackal is because it was one of the closest mounts that looks to the base jackal, but it has 4 die channels. And that's like literally the only reason I would want it is because I like the base jackal, but I would like more die channels to it.
Yeah.
But at that point, I just kind of wish they would have given us 4 die channels on the base mounts. So.
But yeah, I honestly, and if you've been in the community Discord, I've been kind of debating on it myself, just because, like I said, this would be perfect dyed, of course, on my Revenant, who kind of has been going for like a glint, like almost like a Knight of Glint, like has the it's the Herald shoulder piece, and like I got the Flameseeker Prophecy shield and
more crystals.
It was like crystals. Exactly. I was like, this would be perfect. Unfortunately, it's like I'm debating on. It's like for basically $20. Like right now, I like money's tight for myself, personally. But it's like I'm looking at this. How much am I playing to warrant this? Versus can I just pay like maybe $10 more and I could get like Vermintide 2 or something else, or
and not to mention like what you'd probably only be using it for 1 mount.
Yeah,
I mean you'd probably set these skins for all of them on.
Yeah, I probably would, but more than likely would only be using one mainly, and then the others kind of situationally.
Right. So it's one of those things where it's like at least. This, I think, is a good quality for the pack skins. Like anything that comes in a pack, I like it. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm saying I like this. I think it's a great deal because right now you're getting them for, less than less than 400 a piece.
It's 1,600 for the whole pack. So
yeah, if it once it bumps up to 2,000. That's 400 for each. That's right in the wheelhouse of what we were originally considering, like what they should be based on like things. I still think that's a great deal for these quality ones. It's just right now, like I said, for me personally, I'm like, well, how much am I paying to warrant that? And unfortunately for me, they, waited too long that they might have priced me out of it, where I'm just like, eh. But if I was heavily playing every single day, because like I say, I play other games now and are enjoying them, it's like I would have probably day one been buying this. But any other thoughts on the branded mount pack?
Oh, not really. I think they're really good. I just I don't know. I feel burnt out on mount skins, to be honest. So unless it's like something I really want, I probably won't buy a mount skin.
Mounts, the new outfits.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with that. Clouds for Days. It's tough, and I almost see it as buying a whole set of armor or something. It's like, for me, if you like all 5 of them, then it's a great deal. If you're kind of iffy on the look of 2 or 3 of them, then yeah, it's not going to be as great of a deal, because while you're getting the mounts, you don't really want them. While I would like an a la carte type thing, it doesn't seem like we're really going to get one anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Tavis calling me out. But yeah, if you definitely want it, I definitely recommend heavily thinking about it before Tuesday, because like I said, I swear the Winners Day one was around for a week and then bumped up to 2,000 gems. It's still a great deal at 2,000 gems if you want all 5, but you are paying a little bit more.
I suppose the other thing with like buying an armor skin is, to be honest, all of the armor skins that I've purchased from the gem store, I often try to work those into a character's looks no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Because I paid money for them. So that's just me, though.
Yeah, Clouds for Days. That's what we were talking about. Like, I'd like to see. I ideally, like, we've said this, I think, since the Halloween ones. Like, and a lot of people said it. The like just an a la carte. Like, oh, I want this one. I want this one. And this one. Maybe for a little bit more, but if it was bundled together, it's cheaper.
Even if it was like $450 for an individual skin, or $500 for an individual skin, but the pack was still $1,600.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't bat an eye at 500 gems for a single mount skin.
Yeah. But no, we need to have 2K mounts. But anyway, we don't have any of those this week. What we do have is they did do a little bit of updating to the Total Makeover kits. They've given us some more options, which the first one up was new eye colors. You can kind of see them there, and I believe these are only through the Total Makeover kit, so these aren't going to be a character select when you make it. You have to, make your character. If you're making a new character, make it, and then you have to use a Total Makeover kit, or just use it on one of your old, characters that you already have. But, are any of you changing your character's eye colors to better match these?
I have 2 kits. But I might use Desolation for something. But
yeah, that's a pretty crazy looking color.
See, my only problem half the time is that I really don't use. I usually use a helm, and the other half the time is I'm not doing, like, I don't do screenshots of my character's face. Like, I don't do close-ups on my characters.
Mm-hmm.
So changing eye color has never been a huge deal for me. Past like the basic stuff. And I don't think it would get me to buy a kit to change the eye color.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah, that's kind of how I am.
Oh, I'm not just changing the eye color. I'm changing everything.
Right.
But if I have a Total Makeover kit, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use like
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying Desolation is the Twilight Vampire eyes.
That's why I kind of like it, because then it goes well with that lunatic outfit, right? And I plan to make another thief.
How many do you have at this point?
Just 2. Well, 3 if you count my EU account.
And honestly, and people are saying like the Forge looks good on a char. I'd like to see some of these on like an Asern, because usually the Asern you kind of get that's where you kind of get the big eyes that like really fill out you can really see the color in them. So, yeah, if I change the overall look, sure, but buying a kit just for new eye color. Yeah, and that's the thing. I wouldn't recommend this if you just want to change your eye color, because I think at least I'm in the same spot as Jim, and it sounds like Age as well. Is I don't think we look at our character's eyes enough to warrant, I don't want to say wasting it on that. If you have an excess amount, go for it. But I'm a hoarder, so I still have probably maybe like 6 or something of them, and I'm still like, this has to be the final decision ever, so I don't have to use another one.
And then you get a reusable one in a random black lion chest, and you have the dilemma of, do I sell this or do I keep this?
Yeah. Oh man, if I had one of the infinite ones, oh boy, I would probably be changing these things left and right. But also there has been some love for the char. So first up, we have the new char hairstyle that you can see on the left there, and also the new char face for females, which is on the right there, more closely. So definitely got, you know, a new hairdo and a new face for the female char out there. And, you know, I think it looks nice. But I think what people are really excited for, that got a good amount of update to, is the char horns. Let me see where they're at.
I'm actually really happy about this because
Now, are these premium or baseline?
they're premium.
Yeah, they have to be
shit.
through the...
Everything is premium. I actually like one of the last ones that come up. I think it was. I don't know if are horns gender based.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but it's one of the it's
Oh, Tabak is saying they're baseline, actually, the horns.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Good. Because ArenaNet is one of the few MMO companies that does a bestial race really friggin' well. So them locking more of the customization features for it away behind a paywall would really kind of annoy me.
They used to be, but they removed it with the patch. Okay. That's right. Yeah, these horns are really good. Like the one that curve out and they're really long. I really like those types of horns. I might actually swap that for my.
Oh, no. The horns used to be gender specific, but they patched that out.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what Glenn was talking about.
All right.
Oh, gender specific. Okay. Sorry, but yeah, I really like that.
I did see one of the char with the particle effects in PvP on Wednesday, with the particle effect horns, and those are pretty friggin' cool.
Yeah. I like the horns that curve out, and I like the horns that are kind of really long, but they kind of make like squiggly lines. That's the best way I could describe it at the end. Those are really cool.
Like, it's just one of those things where it's like I said before, it's one of the best representations of a bestial race in an MMO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely do a nice job, and I'm glad they've given the char some more horns.
Yeah.
There you go. Look, it's gonna make chat buy more character slots so they can make a char to do it. See? It's working, ANet.
Now we need some new Norn tattoos.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Also we have some returning stuff. So, returning the Wreath of Cooperation for 400 gems, the Fuzzy Hylek hat for 200 gems, and the Fuzzy Quaggan hat for 200 gems. And also, they have the more March Madness sales. Unfortunately, if you're watching today, you missed the March 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th ones. Which some were like, oh, you missed the Abaddon mask. Oh, well, that was the good one. But there was the Silver-Fed Salvage-O-Matic. But today, and if you're watching this live today, unfortunately, if you're watching on YouTube, it probably already switched over. So definitely capitalize on this. If you don't have it, March 10th, 20% off shared inventory slots. And that's for today, March 10th. Which, I mean, are any of you guys going to be picking up, or are you guys already full?
No, my rows are perfect. I'm not changing that until they give me that nice 30.
Can you gift
I don't know. I might, depending on the sale amount. I think I need like another 5 or 6 to finish the set.
Can you gift shared inventory slots?
Oh my god, no, I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
I was tempted to gift one to Age so it would screw up.
No, Don't do that to me. Don't.
You could just leave it in his mail and let it delete itself, which would be rude, but
I can't do that too. I'm Canadian. I can't do that. That would be so cruel. Please don't.
I'm gonna show up at PAX. I'm gonna hand you a piece of paper that says shared inventory slot.
Well, I could keep that.
No, a piece of paper that just says shared inventory slot is waiting in your mail when you get back to your computer. So he's like, nah. Now he's not looking forward to it. But if you are watching this on YouTube, like I said, if for some reason you're lucky and you're able to get that, if you need it, definitely get it. But March 11th, it is 35% off the Magic Carpet Glider, Riding Broom, and Riding Broom Glider. So you definitely want those. I remember when they showed those off, people absolutely loved them. It was kind of like before we had mounts. It was like, oh, it's like a mount, but no speed boost or anything.
Yeah, so it wasn't OP and broken.
Yeah. But also March 12th, we have 20% off the Balthazar's Regalia outfit, Grant's Regalia outfit, Lissa's Regalia outfit, and Dwayna's Regalia outfit. So definitely pick those up if you want a nice outfit. But remember, outfits all or nothing, but you can't hide the head slot.
Honestly, I like the only two that I like are the Balthazar one, followed at a far distance by the Grenth one. The other ones just seem not great.
Now, are you thinking of the Balthazar Regalia outfit that's because we have the Fallen God one that was in the
right.
crates.
No, I'm talking about the skin that you got when you did the end of the Priory quest line, or one of the Priory quest lines in Lion's Arch.
Oh, chat's devising a plan. But yeah, so definitely pick those up if you want them. But they've also changed some stuff with the Blackline chest. The Blackline chest has been updated to the Lost Tribe chest and can be previewed for a full list of its contents. Guaranteed each time you get the Omicron salvaging pouch. Uncommon, you get the fire breathing package, which I believe is the bow that we've seen in the past that's been in there for a little bit, and the quiver. The mini branded mount pack, so basically kind of the things you saw Dolphy riding around on, but minis. No Dolphy character included on the minis. I guess I have to say that for reasons.
Disappointing.
And the Bloodstone weapon collections are all uncommon. The rare is Tormented weapon collection, so any of the Tormented weapons. And nice thing, the Black Lion statuettes, a large selection of glider skins are now available. And for people that don't remember, the Black Lion statuettes are also guaranteed at each time. You get one, I think, every time you open a Black Lion chest. And it's kind of like a currency that you can then use to buy different things like nodes, or in this case, glider skins. Now they also have the exclusive items, including the Fallen Balthazar package, which I believe gives you an actual armor headpiece, and also a full-on outfit that looks like the Fallen God Balthazar that we've seen in POF. And also the Hydra staff, which we've seen in the past. Additional items include the Flame Wrath, Flame Walker, and Flame Kissed armor skins, Black Wings glider combo, and some other stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about. I honestly didn't know that about Black Lion statuettes, that you get one every time.
I thought they made it so it's one every time, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I remember I opened one chest randomly and I got a statuette and I just put it somewhere in my inventory. But I think like 2 weeks ago I opened like 30 and I didn't actually check how many I got. So I will.
And maybe chat knows. Is there a chance to get more than one? It's been a while since Okay, there is. Okay.
I believe there is a chance to get more than one every time you open a box.
Okay. Yeah. So it's guaranteed one, but I guess a slight chance to open more than one. Okay. Yeah. Chat's confirming. So yeah, you might be sitting on more than that. Maybe you'll be able to get any of those things.
Because I was, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I was a little bit miffed that I didn't get as many Black Lion ticket scraps from my chest. I got like 2, but maybe those statuettes make it worth. So I will do that. Yeah. Nice.
Also, the Black Lion miniature claim tickets for a limited time. The miniature categories of Asura, Char, Dragon minions, Elementals, and Deep Sea are available when using Black Lion miniature claim tickets dropped from the Black Lion chest. So, I guess that's cool. Like I said, I think all 3 of us have never really been much into the minis until they give us Polymuck or something. Please, ArenaNet.
The only person who seems to really care about the minis on the show is Arlie.
Yeah.
And then also Inks, but I think he just cared for account value stuff.
Yeah, like completionist.
Yeah. Like he was just in it to, fill that checkbox in for whatever he had.
Yeah.
And, any other thoughts on the gym store?
Nope.
Okay.
I was legit trying to think of anything. Nope. Not good.
And this week in our community corner, I'm sure everybody knows Kit the Traveler. She's actually doing a giveaway throughout the whole year. So she's going to be giving away 20 legendaries. That's right, 20 legendaries. Holy crap. So she's going to be giving away 5 on Twitch, 5 on Reddit, 5 on Twitter, and 5 on the Guild Wars 2 forums. And she says you can enter via each method, but you can only win once. So, increase your chances to at least hopefully get one of them. It's a year-long contest and closes December 1st, 2018. Winners will be chosen on December 24th. Oh, for a second I was confused. I thought QED was talking about the thing. I was like, one's guaranteed. Holy crap, everybody enter. But not, I was talking about the statuettes. My apologies.
And you get a legendary. And you get a legendary. And you get a legendary.
Everybody gets legendary. Oh, Malthanis, you've made me hungry.
But yeah, definitely check that out. For the people sitting in chat here, I'll throw the forum post in there, and of course, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have the link in the description. But yeah, definitely sign up for it. I mean, and throughout the whole year, she'll be like, I've seen her do like some of the streams in the past, and I've seen some people, and I think Ada was one of them that donated some materials to it. I've seen her mention her. But she's, basically streaming as she tries to make all these and stuff like that. So, watch her, and you get to see which one she's making. You'd be like, I want that one. So
I think I ended up donating a couple of the lodestones she needed to make the Juggernaut.
Oh, nice.
So that was during one of my 0 to Hero streams, Wednesday 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Double plug.
Double plug. Well, all we have left is kind of going to the stories, so we're gonna do a quick outro for people in case you need to walk. You want to walk away. You haven't done the story yet. But yeah, this is kind of the moment where if you want to leave, get ready to turn it off. But real quick, Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MonthanasMMO. You can also find me here on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a 0 to Hero PvP night triple plug. Take it away, Age.
And Age, where can they find you?
I'm not going to go that fast, but you could find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road. I need to make the second part of my vlog. I'll hopefully come out tomorrow, Monday. I'm going to play Vermintide 2 and Life is Strange, the extra episode, either today or tomorrow. If I really like Vermintide, I'll play that next week. So, yeah.
Awesome. And you can find me at Simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. And if you are, if you're running away from the spoilers, this will be we will be highlighting this on Twitch, right here, twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit. We will throw it up on YouTube. Just search Talking Skritt. Usually the first one that pops up. That way you can watch it, there when you are done with the story. So that we are now going to be moving to spoiler territory. I am updating. The title should be updated in the Twitch. Throwing up the spoiler tag. Dumbledore dies at the end.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Update, watch Talking Skritt for puns, plugs, and thief talks. There we go. I like it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But alright, so story. Basically leading up to this, where we last left off in the Daybreak release, we were originally trying to deal with blah 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 Branded and stuff attacking, and then Aurene comes back and is helping us. Basically fight along the ways to deal with Joko in Istan, and they capture timing and all that stuff, and we find out that Joko basically awakened an Inquest base and has been pushing Inquest throughout portals, and we had like a current event story that had like portals of Inquest opening up. So now we're leading up to this, and so we basically start out and
It's basically we start off with meeting up with what's his name from the
Agent Keto.
Agent Keto. There you go.
From the Order of Shadows.
I should be really helpful for this part because I literally just did it at the start of the show.
There you go.
But yeah, he basically has a plan.
It's a master plan.
Yeah, he basically has a plan. He doesn't join you, but it's, a bit shady. I guess you gotta expect that from the shadows.
Yeah. So basically, I have the wiki up if you need help summarizing.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, we're going to be tracking a scientist that's supposed to, help us out. We find out later that his name is Blish, and Timmy knows him. But in order to actually get into the lab where the scientist is, supposed to be, we have to go under the guise of we're capturing Bram and Rox, and we infiltrate the lab that way. Oh, he has pictures this time. Awesome.
These are just the pictures from the Living Story page. So
yeah. And I personally was like, beginning of the story, it's like, here we go, Bram. All right, let's do this. Oh, but first, yeah, we'll talk about Bram in a sec. But I do want to bring up, and a lot of people probably already know this by now, but Rox got a new voice actor. I saw on I think it was the Reddit AMA, that they said they wanted to go in a new direction with Rox. So they casted a new voice actor. A lot of people were
outraged by it. I honestly did not know there was a new voice actor. It could have been because she wasn't in the story that much leading up to it, and it's been such a break. But honestly, I didn't know until like the very end, and I think Inks was in my chat during the stream, and it was like, "So, what do you think of the like Rox's voice or something?" I was like, "I thought it was good." He's like, "Well, what about the new voice actor?" I was like, huh? Like, I honestly didn't notice, but apparently a lot of people have better ears than I. So
yeah, I thought it was very similar, but there were some instances in the story where you could tell that it was a different voice actor, at least for me.
There we go. I think it's noticeable, but I don't think it's bad. It is a little jarring at points. I think the voice actress just kind of needs to get into Rox a bit more. But
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Game for a theory.
Hang on. She's got the mic.
I have a theory that Rox's voice got deeper and gravelier from screaming at Bram.
Oh, poor Bram.
That's great.
Poor Poor Bram.
Poor Bram.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Sure, he's moody, but you know, he's a kid.
Yeah, I suppose that is kind of one of those things that you never really think about. Is he's basically a teenager, isn't he?
Yeah.
In Norn years, so.
Angsty teenage youth.
That just watched it, like, had both his parents die. He's a moody kid.
He's a Norn.
Oh. Let's not lump all Norns together. What are you doing, Age?
Sing songs of the glory of his mom and dad. That's what you're supposed to do as a Norn. Or did I get that wrong?
Wow. Look at there, huh? You human thief.
Hey, both my parents died. I'm just saying.
You don't hear me crying. But please, ANet, put that somewhere in, like, because they've always done those, like, special, like, if you pick these certain choices, please let that be a backhanded comment to Bram. If you picked all those, all those things, like, well, both my parents died. You don't hear me crying over it. Jeez. I found their grave and then I got jumped. Like, shut up.
I really hope that because both my Elementalist and my Guardian both have the orphan background, and I really want to see my commander just be like, bitch, listen. It would make me so happy.
I was say I don't know if she was present in episode 1, or do you mean just that was when they decided to change it? Like I don't know when they decided to switch voice actors or not, but
it was this appearance of Rox.
Pretty sure was she even in episode 1 to have a voice? Or no, she was in there because we were in the ruins, and so she was there. But yeah, it didn't happen till this episode, like. But yeah, so we infiltrate this place and we work our way all the way up these floors. You have to kind of I'm a little bit happy because I was worried. I said out in the teaser trailer I was worried because I saw all those moving sentries and I was like, oh god, it's gonna be like another case stealth mission. Like this one's a little bit better. You could kind of like run through it and kind of like hop on the side of like the ledge of a wall or something. Like you could kind of maneuver around it a lot better, I felt.
And anybody who is not the instance owner, you actually get to play a little drone in that instance, and you have one ability that lets the instance owner move faster, and then your second ability actually short circuits the sentry drones so that they lose their detection circle.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun to go through.
Yeah. Oh man, like basically you work your way up and you find all the more and more of these experiments that the inquests are working on, and all of a sudden you come across this. You get to like I think it's the second or third floor where you hear these inquests kind of experimenting on a char, and once you work your way back there, the char just explodes the container and just breaks out. And it's like, wait, what? Like it's kind of like glowing, and I was like ready to be like, oh god, it's like half corrupted, half sentient like char. It's like, what the heck is this? But we decide to break out that char, and can I say it? Like as we go up the elevator, it definitely felt like an action movie, like explosions and stuff going off. I'm like.
Especially also while giving you a good view of the rest of the area.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't break that char out. That char broke themselves out.
Very true. We were running up for the intent to break them out, and then they did it themselves.
Yeah.
Because they are a strong, independent char who don't need no commander.
We get more of those. But yeah, like it was very cinematic too. Like when you get to the top and you're like at the top of the base where eventually they want you to like basically jump off into like the forest. But there's like explosions going off. I'm like, I feel like I'm in like a Die Hard movie, and like I'm ready to see like the credits like rolling up, like we just won the game, and it's like the evil base is blowing up behind you, and
The guitar montage starts.
Yeah. And you basically land into the wooded area, and it kind of rolls right into like the next like story part, because I think they're separated if I'm not mistaken, or maybe they're not. No, it seems like it's.
They are technically separate because you do get rewards.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say what I really liked about the stories in this particular instance is that it flowed one into another very well.
Yeah. Like I didn't
Until,
even
like, you actually
notice
get
I
the
was in the
map,
net,
so.
because I was like, okay, maybe this is like an instance like NPC that I can only see. It's like, oh, follow me to because it was like, follow me to my base or our village. And I'm like, okay, this is leading me in, like I'm already in the open world. And I'm like, oh, I'm like the only person here, which is very unlikely for a Tuesday, like the release. And I'm like, oh, I'm still in the instance. Like, holy crap. But yeah, basically this is where you meet the Olmacon, the group that's they're not part of the char that we know of in Black Citadel or anything like that.
That was awesome. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was really excited about that.
Oh no, it's really cool. I forget how they talk. Like, definitely listen to the dialogue as you're walking around. Like I think they mention like how
they split off from the Flame Legion after the war.
And they just came down south. Like,
yeah, I was really. I thought it was very interesting because it was a different perspective of Char life, and it was like a fifth. It was a fifth tribe of Char that seemed more like druids, honestly. But when you go into their village, you totally see they have a totally different lifestyle from the Char that we know. And
I understand Cade's point in chat. Like, it actually it actually reminded them of Tarn from WoW for, they do seem more of the land of the, they do have some tech from the Inquest, but I think in like dialogues you can hear them saying like, oh, we're going to throw them some of their tech that don't work for us or broken, and that'll appease them. So they have like a little bit of tech, but not all that much. But yeah, they're very simple, and it's definitely interesting. Like, yeah, definitely walk around, like follow Bram and Rox and seeing them talk to him. Like, it definitely feels like maybe this is where, like, personally, I felt like this is where Rox might end up or enjoying, because she talks about how she's not part of a group anymore, and they were like, oh no, we're not about that stuff. We have families. Like, which she was like, oh really? Like, I'm an outcast where I'm coming from, and you welcome everybody. That's so.
Yeah, it did make me think if she was actually going to join that tribe. So we will see. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Druid rocks. Makes
Druid
sense.
Well, since I actually have to get going, I have to take my dog outside. He's a little gimpy, so I have to carry him.
Okay.
So, friends, I'll
We
see
shall
y'all later.
continue, sir.
Fantastic weekend. And chat, thanks for coming out. Have a good night.
Yep. Take care.
I'm going to go
Later.
screw up the cameras now.
Yeah. No.
Come on. Go to meeting. Actually function for once. There we go. Rip.
Yeah, I've seen people making comments of like, oh, we're gonna get fishing and stuff, which I'm just gonna say, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be opposed to it if it's done interestingly.
Yeah. Another thing that was very interesting is the use of skimmer. They actually made us use skimmer a lot more than we usually would.
Yeah.
Which
but yeah,
I really
like,
like.
it's basically around like they're on the shorefront, but you can kind of see in these pictures like they kind of have like a dock, like almost like a spiraling dock. Like it's not like a standard dock. It has like ups and downs and turns and bends but
yeah. That was really good. That was a great implementation.
But yeah, basically, as you progress through that, you help like some of their cubs learn, like they want to help fight because one of their parents didn't return, which I was like, oh. But boy, were they capable? Man, they kept summoning those like sand elemental. Like, I was like, you guys are annoying.
Like, wait a minute, what? I legit thought they were just gonna bring out like some swords and come at me, but no, I'm like, where are they all going? And they summoned this thing in the middle, and I'm in the middle. I'm like dodging out. I'm like, I can't do that. They summoned this giant elemental. It was really cool. Oh man.
And
then
eventually, eventually you have to fight along the docks because the Inquest start attacking the area, and like as you progress through the docks, like there's like stopping points where you have to kind of do a mechanic to blow up one of the golems that's blocking the way. Eventually, you lead back to the elders, and a giant like mech robot type thing drops down. You can kind of see them, some of them in the base, because I was like, because I almost like when I was going through, I paused and I was like, because they were like up like pieces up against the wall, and I was like, I've never seen ones like that. I'm like, are these like something they're working with? And then there was one, and holy crap,
that robot was insanely annoying.
Yeah,
if I got hit by one, I lost like half my health. That was not fun. Dodging for my life.
Yeah, and basically kind of have to do a series of mechanics through there, but once you get through there, unfortunately it zaps like one of the elders, so they're all like saddened by that, and that's kind of where that story ends, and you kind of get thrown out into the new map, which is the Sand Swept Isles, which I will say a lot of people have latched on to the random the moving boat that's out there. Like I've seen a lot of people turn into like a little party boat.
I have not been on that boat.
It sounds like it's like an event. Like, oh, you should get tickets. It has a waiting list. It's kind of nice.
Guys, this is like a Lonely Island video just waiting to happen.
Oh god.
I really hope someone makes that. But
I guess we could kind of talk about it now. Like I see Tavik bringing it up, is that they're sick of these AoE heavy fights and forces you to just take it and hope you can heal through it. See, and that was my one discouraging point after this, is like, while it's a fun fight, interesting mechanics, it felt like did you go down during it, Age?
The golem fight, I think I went down once, and then the char that we saved, I forgot her name, but she reses you technically. Yeah. He's like with nature magic.
I started to realize that and it seems like that's not Arena's strategy with at least story events. Like in the last one as well, it's like there's these crazy heavily mechanics. Like I want to see a video of someone that didn't die or go down at least once on that. But
it's not hard.
There's no failing to it, so it's more annoying than anything else. Personally, like I was just like, oh, so there's like no punishment or something. Like in my mind, I'm like, this isn't meant to be doable. It's just.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see it from that. I did it in a way that I didn't want to die. So like,
I didn't want to either until I found out it's like, oh, they just keep picking me back up. Well, there's no point in.
Oh, well, by the time that I realized that, I almost killed it. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to restart. But I played it in a way that like I didn't want to die, and that made me not die for most of the fight until I actually went down once. And then I'm like, I got res. I'm like, okay, I can still continue. And I just went with like, I don't want to die mentality, because that's the way you should be playing. But I guess
that's what I do. But it's just like when there's no
there's no point
punishment to it. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I still tried, and I dodged the AoE and stuff. It's just eventually like it got pretty crazy, and
yeah, I am. Well, would you have preferred that if you screwed up and you died, you'd have to restart the entire fight?
I would have liked to like I just don't. I'd like to see a video of someone beating it without having to go down, because I just don't.
It's
In my
doable.
okay. I just
It
in
is.
my
It is
mind.
doable. I mean, I
In my
went down
mind, I
because I
just
made a stupid mistake. But
okay. I mean, in my mind, I just looked at it and go, this wasn't like they have been doing more and more over the top things where it's just like unavoidable like stuff like filling the
oh
room with AoE where you're just like okay like but don't worry we're gonna pick
yeah.
you up. It's like, well, what was the point of that?
Oh, I see what you mean now. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah, it does make it kind of pointless.
but
Uh, the
like
problem I
that's
had
really
with
my only gripe with these like they did this another like of these fights again where it's like start filling the room with AoE and stuff, and then it's like, oh, I finally ran out of dodges and mitigates, kind of like I think what Kate is saying, and it's like, okay, I finally went down. Oh wait, someone's rezzing me, so it was pointless. Okay, like
yeah, I was trying to be really conservative with my dodges. I used stealth to. I actually used all the mechanics in my kit that I usually would for World versus World to actually live through most of that fight. Um, I think it was good in that respect. The one problem I had was with the AoE bubbles that go at the edges and kind of follow you, and it kind of just clips you really. And when it clips you hard. That was the only problem I had. Um, but it made it more challenging and made me more in the zone, as it were. So I didn't really have a problem with that fight. But you do bring up an interesting point with there's really no point in doing the mechanics. Just like hit, bash it, die, res, hit it, and
and yeah, and then
until it's
granted,
dead.
if you go back and watch my playthrough of it, I'm not doing that, but it's just like when you realize that it's like, oh well, all right.
Yeah. Uh, uh, I honestly wouldn't mind if I died. I would have to restart. It just mean I have to get good. But at the same time, they kind of would have to reduce the level of mechanics or the intensity of the mechanics at the same time. So that if you do get hit by an AoE, it's not horribly detrimental.
Yeah, and I guess like because I've said that in the past too. Like Zacharok's bringing up the achievement to defeat in 3 minutes, and also people are saying this is to get people in a party to do it. It just seems like they are really trying to find anything to do, create 5-man content besides dungeons. Like, just it's like you see two of your friends that always flirt with each other, but they never hook up. It's like, get a room, you two. Just make dungeons already. You want to. I can see it. You want to. Like,
I Hmm. I there's a few achievements in Living Story 2 that I would like to do with people because it would just be overall easier. I don't know if I can do it now, but I just haven't done them because I know some of them would require like at least one other person to help me out. Um, I don't see it as a bad thing to promote team play, but what's interesting is that Living Story recently has just been more of a solo adventure type of thing, especially last season's. Because remember the Shining Blade bit where we were getting tempered and all that stuff and had to go through trials. That was more of a solo experience, whereas the other people in your party wouldn't have
they
much
were
to
locked
do.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if Arena is actually going back to like let's make Living Story soloable, but also meaningful for people who want to group up and do Living Story.
And I think that's I think that is where the scary part is, that like how you said that they want to make it soloable, but they want to make it meaningful for group content, but they're not making it meaningful for solo play, because like I said, I at the first playthrough I didn't learn the mechanic to the best of my ability because I did go down, but then I'm realizing it doesn't matter if I go down. Now granted, I'm not hitting this 3-minute achievement mark, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
in a group, if you take 5 people, it's like, so you want to make a 5-man dungeon, but you don't. It's like, make up your mind.
Okay. I
But
I don't know.
you know,
I did I go? I think I went Marauders. I think I actually used my World versus World setup, so I don't know how fast I can kill it in full Berserkers, but I don't think you would need a 5-man to actually do that achievement.
Well, okay, I was kind of just referencing like just grouping up, but yeah.
Okay, so like grouping up. Well, yeah, okay, grouping up. You might like most players probably would have to group up in order to do it. But promoting, do you think it's actually promoting 5-man PvE type of content besides Fractals? In that case,
I mean, I still question of. I mean, there's no real fail mechanic, so it's almost like training wheels on a 5-man content. It's like, hey, let's learn how to dodge things, and don't worry, if you do go down, someone will res you. It doesn't even have to be us. We can still focus on our practicing. Like, it's almost like training wheels for 5-man content.
I honestly think it'd be okay if there was a fail mechanic. Maybe that's kind of the line. I don't know if people would. I don't know if generally the PvE community would be happy about that if for a story, but I honestly wouldn't mind if I failed that fight and started over. I wouldn't be mad. I'd be maybe a little frustrated at myself because I missed a dodge or whatever, but I would eventually like go in and do it. Now, for the average PvE player who may not be as in tune with like mechanics and dodging and stuff, it might be a little bit harder for them, and they might have to party up, especially for that achievement.
And like I kind of agree with like the dungeon level, like in a sense, the dungeon level of a fight. I think the mechanics are at that spot, but the damage and health pool that it does, yeah, like everybody's saying, like I think 2 to 3 would be okay. But I think the mechanics behind it, because I've seen some of the dungeon fights like are not as mechanically heavy as that one. I mean, and there are some that are, but
I would have changed. You know what? I would have changed that fight slightly to be like, it makes sense that there's nature magic involved in sort of resing you, but I would like that to be like a one-time thing. Like you have like one grace for a res, because it would take time to regain all that magic and energy, blah blah blah. I don't know, some excuse. But
and honestly, Kate, like that I was saving my opinion like this for when we went through all of it, but I also have a problem with the last fight, even though it is tremendously awesome, like where you go and stuff, but once again, pointless because there's no real negative. Like that,
yeah, I'm trying to remember the last fight.
You basically go everywhere, but we'll get to it.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was, yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah. But we'll recap all that stuff. Let's keep going through the story itself.
Sure.
So yeah, the test subject, a
kindness repaid, and then we have the road to Rata Primus. So that's the usual explore the map type of content.
Yeah, the kindness repaid was just the clearing out the village. Okay. Oh, I just closed it. But yeah, basically then they task you with taking down the protection barrier around, like the 3 lasers that are protecting it, and basically you have to do 3 different puzzles, which I definitely am curious of what you guys think for
yeah. I actually like this. I actually like this, the Road to Radnova bit, because you didn't have to do the hearts for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know that was a general complaint for quite a few people. And I kind of like that they went that route, because it gives you more freedom to actually explore at your own leisure.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, basically the puzzles were like, one was opening up a kind of using like ley line energy to energy to fly you up over things and like open up a series of pathways so you can unlock the one beam. The other one was kind kind of portal-esque. Like you had to use portals, like one return, going to and returning portal, and you had to each pedestal had like this will turn it 2 turns, and the other one will turn it 1 turn, but this one will turn it to the other, like, so you kind of had to play around with that.
I had like this electronic Rubik's Cube that it acts exactly like those buttons. So when you press one button, it would actually affect the other 4 sides, and in order to solve it, you have to get it just right.
Oh boy.
So it actually brought me to those times, and you're like, I remember these. Those are fun.
But yeah, I thought the puzzles were pretty good. I mean, I heard a lot of people were like, "Oh, I stopped playing because the puzzles were just." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah. There were quite a lot.
There was a lot of puzzles, but I just didn't think they were hard. Maybe people were getting burned out on the puzzles. I don't know, but
at some point you're like, because at some point I didn't know what I was doing, but then when I'm going through it the 3rd time, it's like this button, this button, this button, next, this button, this button, next, and So once you figure it out, it's like a breeze. But I can understand going it for the first or second time, and multiple times it could be a little frustrating for some people.
Yeah. And so basically, you're basically going through those puzzles just to bring down the ability to fly in there, because I think at this point that they have what's her name? I want to say Magrid the Sly, but I know that's the Guild Wars 1 person. You met her in episode
ancestor.
1. Yeah, her ancestor that you met in episode 1.
Seda?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, Seda the Sly.
Sorry.
But she's willing to fly you in if you have those that barriers down. So that's why you're taking down these things. So once you do that, these puzzles, you are able to then get on her ship and fly in, and pretty cool. I think I laid down AOE and it wasn't flying away like was it Victory or Death? So
there you go.
That's an improvement.
I actually jumped off the edge before the ship actually landed, and I thought I was going to fall to my death, but I was able to glide to the platform inside.
Nice.
That was really funny.
But yeah, you basically invade, like one ship invade into the Rata Primus, and I don't know. It was like this just felt like the Inquest base of like this is like HR corporate. Like all the like letters and stuff were just like, this is how to get a better person. Like, don't say this, do this, and always be always thank them for their it's like it just felt like it was the HR headquarters for the Inquest. Like
that's why it's in ruins. That's why no one's there. That makes total sense.
But yeah, you basically work your way down there, and yeah, of course the Awakened are, there's Awakened Inquest and then just regular Awakened. You basically work your way down. You can gather things ahead of time and use the passwords to make your objectives later a little easier, or you can just barrel through.
Did you gather them?
Yes.
All right. I did not gather them at first, and then I saw 30 Awakened, and then I said, I'm a thief. I can quickly bypass everyone and get everything, all the passcodes really quickly. And I did that.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I did. I also grabbed the passcodes, but I kind of want to brute force it on a warrior just to see what it'd be like.
Yeah, I basically activated and then started like killing like the room. Like I didn't like hide or wait around, but yeah, basically in the first room you can activate a turret, and while it's fighting the Inquest, you want to go and destroy the portals that are opened up where they're literally going into all the places around Tyria. So
yeah,
and then next you continue on and you can, I think, activate explosive golems or just fight one of the awakened
Yeah.
mobs there. It makes it easier, but if you
And there was also a stealth module that sells you for a period of time.
yeah, so you can kind of get to the things like without having to aggro stuff. Then the final part, because basically all you're doing is trying to. We forgot the biggest plot point of why we're going in here.
Yeah.
We're trying to rescue, because
Blish
Timey
and-
recognizes two of the voices. You're trying to go in and rescue Blish and Gorik, which were people in her, like, I guess, graduating class or in her class that apparently went to the inquest. So that's why we are trying to go in and, deal with them, because she couldn't contact him. I can't believe I forgot the biggest point of this.
Yeah. Kind
But
of important.
yeah. So
Technically,
we
it's
work
kind of the plot point throughout the story to find these scientists. So.
Yeah. But as we progress through there, you do your last thing and you kind of get to the door, because as you're getting those passcodes earlier, they show like, oh, he's barricading the one door and doing stuff like that. So yeah, you can kind of figure that out. And they get there and we discover that I forget which one is which, but
Blish.
is Blish the golem now?
Yeah.
So one of them, Blish, is now in a, I guess, uploaded his consciousness into a golem suit, or into a like tiny golem. So it's not like Scruffy or anything like that. It's just kind of like a small little golem.
Yeah. It's like Hobotron sized, but
yeah,
Inquest Golem with a coat.
with a coat. Yes.
It's a very nice coat. I'm just saying.
Combat tonic. Come on.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
But yeah, then you try to start to escort them out, and then all of a sudden you get stopped by Joko, and he kind of says like, he goes on a spiel about like, you think you won and all that stuff, and it's kind of interesting. I want to find the exact dialogue he says, but I guess we could talk about that kind of speculation stuff of it. But basically he says like, I'm going to release the Scarab Plague whether you like it or not, type thing. And he has his is it a commander? Yeah.
Commander Lonai. Yeah. Commander Lonai.
I forgot what her title was, but the commander, he's like, my commander will deal with you, type thing, which is interesting. The name rang a bell, and then I looked up afterwards. Lonai is actually a Sun Spear in Guild Wars 1 that kind of helped you in some parts of the story. So she actually does have relevance, but this is the same woman that we saw in Aureen's vision in episode 1, and also if you were quick enough in the Soren base over Timey's golem when she was trapped in it. And we were speculating on who that could be, so that was this person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I did get that feeling, chat, when I was like, oh, Alphonse, like Full Metal Alchemist stuff, sweet. But yeah, so all of a sudden we start fighting Commander Lonai, and yeah, I agree, she was important in Nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just mentioning she wasn't like really in our party, but she was. Yeah. But yeah, she, as you're fighting her, she all of a sudden, like, I don't know if it's a move or something, but a portal opens up and starts sucking you away. And I think at first it takes you to Divinity's Reach, and you have to kind of like do a couple mechanics there and try to fight her and destroy her. She has like energy balls you have to destroy and all that stuff. And then where does she take you next? Because I know right now all I can think of is Divinity's Reach, and then she takes you in front of the Claw of Jormag. I think
Fire Elemental. The volcanic fractal, the end of that.
I thought it was Mount Maelstrom.
Oh no, Mega Destroyer, right? Yeah. Sorry.
She takes you to Mount Maelstrom, and then I think to the Claw of Jormag. And you kind of basically do the same mechanic over and over again. It's just more, you have to do, I think, more times. And it's kind of the mechanic you learned in when you're fighting off the inquest. Like you take a thing and you just have to throw it at her or destroy the thing. And so it's not the hardest of mechanic, but she does have a lot of AoE and stuff like that. And when you get to the Claw of Jormag area, still has that was it the permafrost ground or something, so you could, you know, lose your health pretty quickly there if you're not careful.
Yeah, that fight was very interesting because I thought there would be more mechanics than that.
Yeah, it really revolved around one major, like it was like destroy the big flaming orbs and then throw the thing at her or something like that. But that was basically it's
that was interesting, but I just thought there'd be more mechanics than that, but fairly simple.
And after you fight her at the Claw of Jormag, which was definitely a cool backdrop because you have him over top of it, like just breathing his icy breath. But then it takes you into like it seems like you finally defeat her and you all get pulled into a portal, like Bram's with you as well, and you get thrown into like basically what looks like the Mistlock Observatory. If you have that town portal scroll thing. But it's just basically open space and you're on a rock just floating into space, and she's kind of just laying there like, I think she even says like, you know, defeat me or like kill me or.
I wish we used the finisher, but
well, I was gonna say, did you actually get to kill her?
Yeah.
Cause you know what happened? Bram freaking Fable 2'd me. He shot her over my shoulder. I was like, cause I was like, oh, maybe there's like more like maybe she'll say something else, and like, I'm like, what the?
Oh, you got right.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh man, I looked at her. I'm like, okay, and I just did it.
Well, I was like, maybe if I get like close, she'll say something before I do it, and all of a sudden, I'm like, what the? I was like, really, dude? We're in the middle of space. No one knows we're here. I'm about to put you into space. But then, yeah, actually, a weird dialogue opens up. Like, for me, that's where my poor Bram stopped. I'm like, really, dude? Really? But, yeah, then, like, we kind of have dialogue there because we're just, like, sitting there because it seems like there's no way back. It's like, well, huh. And we're kind of just, like, both staring off into space and just going, so, I think Bram brings up about that letter I wrote Timey, which I think will confuse a lot of people. I think it's in reference to the one that he sent Timey saying he's gonna remake Destiny's Edge in honor of his mother and stuff like that, and he didn't want to join us. I'm pretty sure that's what it's in reference to.
Okay. Seem to be a lot of references.
Yeah. But maybe Bram would have had more respect for you if you'd actually had beaten some sense into him instead of talking it out. Yeah, well, I was just like so irritated because I was like, this is, you know, maybe she'll say something else before a dime. I'm like, it's not like he could have said it wasn't me. There was only 3 people on that rock. One was dead, one was me, and one was him. Yeah. But it's worse than Cormier.
Oh wow!
I'm saying she just took credit. I actually did though. I actually got to actually kill it. But it would have been awesome if that should have been an option. You could have fought him. Oh, especially come on, non-racial like dialogue. Be like, you're taking my legend. What the heck, man? Like, we get to fight. Bear bra fight. There was also a missed opportunity with the last fight. I'm curious, but yeah. So eventually, I think right after it says, like they bring up that letter thing, I thought we were actually gonna get some kind of like dialogue, and then it sucks us back into the area, and it's like, okay, well, Does it take us to the ship or does it take us to the? I think they pull us back to the ship, right? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, they
now.
pull us back to the ship.
And this is like where everybody's at, and there's a lot of chat dialogue options, but you do get to reunite Blish and Gorik with Timey, and it's kind of like that like awkward thing of like I think Gorik was like Blish was kind of like hiding because I think he was ashamed of it, and they're like, oh, they're here, and they look, and Timey realizes Blish is the little tiny golem, and she walks up, and there I think he's like nervous of like she's gonna like be like, oh god, what the heck happened to you, like, but she's like, you're beautiful, and I'm like, part of me was like, oh, there's love in the air, there's
Yeah.
a romance.
I thought that too. He's like, I literally looked at Blish. I turned my camera to Blish, turned my camera to Timmy. I'm like, okay, I see you. And I just continue. But that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. And what almost gave me a heart attack was that Ink said he liked Timey in this episode.
What?
And yeah, and I feel like the reason being is why, Timey had the answers to everything. In this episode, she didn't. And at the end of this episode, she's actually going to work with fellow Asuran to help find a solution to this problem that they have with Joko and Scarab Plague. She doesn't have the answer to this, and I think that's actually good that there isn't an immediate answer to this, because Gorik is a self-proclaimed expert on the best expert on the scarabs.
Yeah.
You have Blish, who's a brilliant scientist. We have Timey, who's also a brilliant scientist, and they're all going to work together to find a solution to this. It's not just Timey like spends like a day or two and has the answer to it. So
yeah,
I think that's really
like
good.
I did some research. It's like, oh great, now you're an expert. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. It also leaves room for more dynamic between the group itself. So
yeah. And now, like, I guess overall, let's just talk about like, and like I was saying before, I think this was also where I had my problem with that last fight scene was you couldn't really fail. Like, once again, it's like,
yeah, I went down a few times. I think like twice or three times. It was, oh no, I rallied myself because of the shred thingies. But I think in that case it's okay. I'm thinking about it in terms of like the average PvE player. They're really trying to play through the story. They really don't want to focus on all the mechanics and things like that.
I guess
Like players who like, I know for example QED, he probably just analyzed the mechanics and did it, without breaking a sweat. Easy, no problem. For other players, it may not be so simple, and they wouldn't want to go through it over and over again, and they don't want to wait for their friends or for a group to actually do it. So in that case, I totally understand in that sense. If there were achievements attached to it saying like you cannot go down or die, then I think that'd be acceptable as well, because you'd have the base part where people are playing for the story, and then you have the achievements where you have to do the achievement to actually get it. So, I honestly don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
but
I guess it was just it's like kind of like sad when you're sitting there going, well, there's no way I can't like lose this. Like,
do you feel like it takes you out of the story, or do you feel like it's just a mechanic that shouldn't be there?
It honestly, when I was streaming it, it kind of did. Like, especially on the first fight, I was like, there was a moment where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I keep getting res, and I just kind of went, Huh. Well, this is kind of pointless. Like, after a while, I'm just like, okay, it's got about like 10% health left. Like, let's just start, smashing our face against it so I can just continue. Because at a certain point, I was like, I just want to continue the story. Like, I don't, like, so I don't know. It was, I stopped caring about the mechanic because I was just like, all right.
But, okay, so would you prefer a more straightforward fight and less mechanical fight, or a mechanical fight where you would, if you died, like that's it, you have to restart? Because I guess it means, I guess what I mean is, like, what would make you content with the story but not take you out of the story, but you wouldn't get overly frustrated at the same time?
Well, first off, I would probably not want what Zachariah suggests in the Guild Wars 1 method of it just kicks you out of the whole thing, because literally if you had to walk all the way up, go through all that stuff again, because basically I had to start over the last instance, because literally at the end hallway, right before you find Blish and Gorik, there's a couple inquests that pop out. Stupid me, I tried to use one of my Revenant sword skills, and it was the 3 that kind of teleports you around, put me in the one of the awakened had its back to one of the sludge things on the wall. Well, it ported me in there. I can't move, get out. I had to I'm like, so I kind of got that a little bit in there of that aspect. So no, I definitely don't want that. But I would even like something like whatever health it's at, like maybe it spawns you on the outside and like it starts slowly regenerating health, so it's not like you're, because it would be horrible for some of the bigger meat shield fights, like the golem, like the episode 1 golem fight that was just felt like it went on a little bit too long for most builds, unless you went full straight out DPS. But then after a while, it was like, I'm filling the whole platform with AoE. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like levitate? Like, it's like, for that kind of fight, if you go down and then it ports you at the beginning spot, like, where the checkpoint is, and it starts slowly regenerating its health, then it's like, okay, I better get back in the fight. Or it's like, well, I'll let it get up to about 50% health while I try to figure out the mechanic, like, try to
That doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. I actually, that sounds pretty fair, to be honest.
And I don't know how feasible that is. I'm not a programmer. I'm not main to it. Maybe that's just not possible. But it's just like I said, if you go back and watch my thing when I'm fighting that first guy in the camp, and I kind of go down, it might have been like the second time, I was just like, oh, I just keep getting picked up, and I'm like, I kind of just went, like, there's really no downside. Like, it's basically goes back to like, the idea of like, what was it in dungeons? But like when it first started, like people would just keep res dying, like, just because they didn't have that mechanic where it's like, if anybody's in combat, you can't waypoint back. It was just like, oh, we'll keep the health down, waypoint back. It was like, it just felt like that, where it's like, so we're just throwing dead bodies at this. Okay. Like, but yeah, that was just personally my only gripe. Overall, I mean, I enjoyed the episode, probably not as much as most people, and I'll definitely tell why. But like, I like the pacing of it. I like the idea behind it. It was very smooth, and like I said, a lot of it felt like an action movie. But also at the end of the action movie, I felt like there was nothing really to speculate on or talk about afterwards. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's because this was episode 2. Like, maybe it was one of those episodes that starts to set things up. So hopefully maybe they can carry over this, like, a lot of this great things about it. And this was just one of the lesser episodes story-wise, where it's like we're putting things in place. But yeah, afterwards I was just like, nothing felt like a surprise. Nothing felt like I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like, no, Joko told us what he was planning on doing. It's like there was no mystery surrounding afterwards. But like I said, I think that's just because the episode that we're at, like, it's setting things up. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, but everybody's saying it's the greatest episode. I'm like, it felt like an action movie where I'm like, all going through it, I was like, this is this is awesome. And then afterwards, I'm like, yeah, it's nothing, nothing much to talk about.
I felt like the only thing you could really talk about after that story is like, what are the possible ways that Joko could like disperse this scarab plague? Yeah. That's the only thing I really think anyone could really talk about, or other than like the dynamic between Blimey. We're gonna call it Blimey.
I like Blamey because she likes she likes Bram, and no one likes Bram, so Blamey and Bram kind of fits.
Okay,
hey,
there you go.
He stole my kill. Now I'm starting to not like him.
Now you're starting to not like him. All right. But yeah, I don't think this was the greatest story, but I think it was a good story, mostly because what they did in episode 1, where they took me out of the story at the last part of the mission, I didn't feel that at all, which was really good. There were a lot of
the pace was smooth.
Yeah, there were a lot of callbacks to other games that I really liked. Like, they threw in Portal in the game. Like, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other little tidbits like there. I think Zekriox brought up the part where we were alone with Bram in the vastness of space. That was a throwback to Waiting for Godot. So yeah, little bits of that here and there. It seems like they're listening to feedback in terms of the hearts and doing story, things like that. You didn't have to explore the entire map in order to actually proceed through the story, and you could do it later.
And kind of you're hitting around it, but one of the examples they said, like, kudos to the attention to the finer detail that probably no one's ever going to notice, but it's like when you do, it's like, wow. They talked about, like, they had sea turtles that were like coming up, like just swimming around, and like I think one of the devs said, oh, they don't do that, they like do this, and they're like I think they were saying, like, oh, they come on land at night, bury their eggs and whatnot, and then and then go back into water. And one of the devs was like, hold on, and like they actually made that happen. So if you're out there and you see sea turtles, apparently if you wait there for the day and night cycle, they'll come out. And I didn't get to personally see it, but I did hear about that. So, kudos to them. Like, that's a level of detail that I don't think 99% of the people are going to see, but when they do, or they're pointed out to it, they're going to be like, oh, holy crap. Like,
yeah, wow. I haven't spent much time on the map just yet, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, little thing. I like little things like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you might miss it, but like if someone ever tells you, points it out to you, then you're like, oh wow, that's a crazy level of detail that appreciation into their own game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, QD's starting to hit upon it, but the new map, not only the fact that you can basically get a 32 slot bag when you complete the story, you get a 20 slot bag, and you can slowly do collections and stuff and upgrade it to a 24, then 28, and then 32. But we also do have bounties in this one, because I don't think the last map had bounties.
Last one did have bounties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember a board like near the cause place, but just like a bit northeast. There's a board.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I was trying to look back and I didn't see any mention of it, but also while we're on like what you can get out of the thing, Dolphy has like guides on all that stuff, which we'll throw links to in the YouTube description. But Trying to find where. Trying to show off the stuff you can get. Hold on. Where did I? First you can get the Inquest backpack, because I think you get this base backpack at the very end, but if you do other things around the map, you can get like different quests and stuff. You can get like this thing as it progresses, all the way to a point that it has like a big glowing eye and like arms on it. And if you preview this, because that's how I did it, it's actually like, you know, moving its arms around, and after a while it was like idle animation was like trying to like tap you on the shoulder. Like I was like, okay, you know, that's pretty cool. That
Yeah. Oh yeah, Norma Kin Tribe is actually really cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I have that here too. The meta shoulders, like, so basically once you know, every of these things had a meta armor piece, or you know, something you would get out of it, and these are what they are, the shoulder pieces that are all, you get all three weights unlocked, but that's the.
Oh, I thought I heard something was time gated, QD. I thought maybe it was the back piece. I don't. Maybe the person got it wrong. I don't know, but I remember reading a tweet that it was a person complaining about time gated something. I don't know. Maybe
I'm trying to think, because I thought 2 out of the 3 things weren't, but I thought there was one thing that was actually time gated, or at least people were, but maybe they were, like you said, wrong in that aspect. But
maybe
because this was like 1 or 2 days after, so maybe the people weren't aware, didn't know. Okay, QD saying he hasn't seen anything time gated yet, so
okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll go with you guys.
Well, still mostly not time gated, if anything,
yeah.
So that's good.
So, you know, overall, I thought it was a pretty solid, you know, thing. Would I say it's the greatest, or, you know, the best? Like I said, and I have to probably agree with the QD's, like, the story is okay-ish, like I said, and I think that's just because episode 2 might just be a setup moment, like, for things. So, and like I said, that's why I felt like it was kind of like an action adventure, or like an action movie, like watching the Expendables. It's like, oh my god, all the explosions and stuff, it's crazy. And then afterwards you're like, you're probably not going out talking like, yeah, did you like the political subplot for that movie? Like, no, you're not doing that. You're probably like, weren't the explosions pretty crazy? Like, so I felt more like that, where I'm not like talking about like, oh, what could, you know, Joko be doing now, or what. Though I do, I'm probably gonna contradict myself right here, but the only thing I could find of it with it is like slightly interesting is what happened to Joko, because he does say the line, my old self or something along those lines would have played with you more, but now I'm just like, it's like,
I'm getting stressed.
Yeah, well, it's like, did he just change his mood? Oh, after how many thousands, like how many hundreds of years, like, which is kind of weird, unlikely, or is it someone, like, did someone else take? Is there someone else in there? Because remember, he got trapped. He got trapped in that same area where people were trying to steal our spirit body. Like, that was the job. And he was trapped in a cage. Who let him out? It's
this is true.
Did someone take over his body? Like, don't play with me, Tavik. Do not play with me. I'm just saying that right now.
Oh.
But, you know, that's kind of the interesting thing. And I've also seen a theory going around that the Order of Shadows might be turning on us.
Doesn't everyone turn on us at some point now?
Well, but the interesting thing is, and I'm kind of curious about this, if we ever do this, because right now, if you look on the map where this story's going, we overshot where Kralkatork was, or flew to, and now we're like on the other side of like water and the, you know, mountain thing over there. So we're kind of getting like a little bit closer to it from the other side. But if you do the order of, if there's like Order Whispers reports in I I forget one of the POF maps, but they talk about like an Order of Whispers person was trying to infiltrate the Order of Shadows. They do mention that there's an Order of Whispers in Alona, but this is a faction that split off, and mainly because the Order of Shadows believe that Joko is a more serious threat than the dragons. So right now, they're all helpful when we're trying to go after Joko. But what if it's like, well, Joko kind of ran off. We're right here, right next to Krakatork. Let's go explore this. And they're probably like, whoa. No. You go back to focus on Joko. Like, that's the problem here. Like, maybe they'll start showing their colors or something.
Maybe, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, they don't necessarily control us in our actions, right? They'll be helpful to us when we have like a common interest, right? So maybe they just won't help us when we want to do something else.
Well, I'm expecting like maybe we try to like be like, well, we need backup, and they're like, well, we're not supporting you, and we're like, wait, what? Like, you've been so friendly so far, like.
I think if we help, like for example, if we help deal with Joko, and then like we need their help fighting Krakatork, I think they'll be help us out because they don't have anything else to do now.
No, but that's what I'm wondering, if like, because Joko kind of ran off, like we don't know where he went now. What if we're like, well, while we're close here, let's maybe, but they're like, no, the job's not finished, like, so maybe in the next couple episodes.
But do you think we'll actually splinter off like that?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, like we're so close to Krakatork. We have the transportation, because remember at the very end, the I already forgot her name, Sadra the Sly. She was like, she's like, you can use my ship anytime. Like, you are getting me so much street cred. Like, basically is like how she referred to it. Like, I am making so much like off of this. Like, she's like, I think she would love the idea of be like, hey, you want to fly towards an elder dragon and live? Like,
yeah, I guess so. Huh. I mean, yeah, I don't know. But I guess we'll only deal with Krakatork if he like just does something, right?
True,
right
and
now.
I think we know that Marjorie and who's the Mesmer? I'm blanking on names now.
Casimir,
they've been keeping an eye on Krakatork, because they were talking about like, oh, he's just sat on top of the mountain thing, just not doing anything yet, or
he's just chilling. Yeah,
but that's kind of the only like shreds I could pull from this, besides of like, and I think now we have to kind of go back and look at, what do you think of do you think the trailer was good for teasing this? Because I kind of felt like it was almost on the level of Star Wars Episode 1 trailer, where like I think everybody eventually came to the conclusion, like within a couple of days, going, oh, there's that scarab plague, oh my god. It's like, I felt like that was supposed to be a bigger bombshell than,
I guess, yeah.
It almost feels like in Star Wars Episode 1, where if you go back to watching some of the trailers for Episode 1, where they show Darth Maul, hold out his lightsaber, and then all of a sudden another lightsaber jets out. You watch that in the movies, they do such a dramatic pause that was meant, you feel like that was meant to be like the, oh my god, a double lightsaber, but everybody's like, yeah, I saw that right after The Simpsons, like during the commercial break, like that's not a big deal.
Oh, kind of like with Episode 7 and the lightsaber sword.
Yeah, it's like,
okay,
they kind of take the dramatics from it. So I don't know. I felt that was the biggest thing. Like, haha, I'm trying to release the Scarab Plague. It's like, yeah, I know that. I saw the trailer. I saw the little bug scurrying around.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
because last week, go back to last week, where I'm like, guys, I know it's a Scarab Plague, but it's so in our faces. ArenaNet likes to put things in our faces, it's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be something else, but all the signs point to the Scarab Plague, but then it's like, oh, okay, it was just right on the nose. It was.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll throw a curveball. Like
Maybe.
they want us to think on this track, and then it's like, bam, something else happens. I don't know.
I mean, don't go to the level of because he casted a fire spell that means he's Balthazar, and just like not right in your like face of there's a beetle, a scarab running scrolling across the screen. Like
I thought it was just like a legit like bug, like actual like just a symbolization of a bug in a
the system
computer like
type
environment. Yeah. That's
thing.
what I
Okay,
thought.
I guess maybe that's what they were thinking. A lot of people were gonna think, but I don't know. I was like, that looks like a beetle. Then I was like, oh, that looks more like a scarab. But
yeah, the people are gonna think lore, and you're like, I see what you did.
So I guess I'm complaining. It's not enough jumps for me to get to the thing. So I guess that's me just nitpicking. But I don't know. That was just. But Joko kills Krakatorg, absorbs the power, goes to fight a god, flees south to Cantha, uses Scarab Plague to bring back the afflicted. What other god is he gonna fight? Theoretically, they all left. Unless they're gonna literally say, launch a Guild Wars 2, all the gods left Tyria. 5 years later, all the gods left but one.
I would say
6 years later, all left but one plus one.
Or they return, I would say, like, if any stayed behind, it'd be Lissa, because I think she would have the ability to, like, make that mirage happen.
Yeah. Well, in chat saying Cormier. Cormier did hang back, and I think, in the end, I think that was the one they were referring to because they locked up Balthazar. I think Cormier was the one that they stayed back to in case, I guess. Well, no, she was in her own realm. She was never on Tyria, so. I don't know. I'd feel bad if I'd feel weird if they were just like, oh, look, another one didn't stay back. It's like, okay, a shorter list is who left, who actually left.
You don't know.
If they start trickling out one by one, like, oh, look, this god didn't leave either. Oh, look, this god didn't leave. I'll be like, this is worse than the dragons.
We're literally just taking Cormier at a word that everyone left, right? You don't really know if they actually left.
Well, but I mean, it was assumed that everybody left originally.
That's the assumption.
And then
right?
she told us, oh, yeah, Balthazar was locked away, but no, we all left too. It's like, hey, if you can't trust the God of the truth, who can you trust?
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. I don't.
Oh, I'd like that Tavik, but I would like that. No, I don't know if people would want like almost like another like Wrath of the Lich King, where it was like half the dungeons and raids were like this like scarab type things, but.
Like prophecies rather than focus on dragons. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see some resolution on the dragon thing. Like, okay, we stabilize the magic or something, because that was the point of Guild Wars 2. I mean, I'm happy for it to go into different directions. Like, I'd prefer it to go in different directions, but like, and I said this in the past, I would really like to see, like, maybe with the expansions, instead of them doing just one dragon at a time, maybe say like, oh, we're getting attacked on 2 fronts, which it's like it's starting to feel like that. Yeah, it started to feel like that a little bit with like, oh, we got Jormag and Primordus rising and stuff. It's like
that's exactly what I wanted out of episode 1.
Yeah,
I didn't want Krakatorg to be asleep. I wanted to rampage on the east side of Tyria, and then we hear Joko's coming back and he's pissed at us. That's what I wanted.
Well, and you QD, even if you're sick of it, I'm just saying, like, I would like them to at least wrap it up. Like, okay, maybe in the next couple things, like, wrap it up with like, okay, Arene's reestablishing the balance. We shoving all the magic into her or something. I don't know, but let's get out of the way instead of having another storyline that's just like stranded in the wind, fraying like Malik or all those other things. Like, please, Arena, finish like the story.
Yeah.
Because I would like to continue. I would prefer to like fight the gods. Like I enjoyed the fight with Balthazar more so than probably both Elder Dragons. I mean, the first one's easy to say, but
Yeah.
actually I'd like to do this for after show because we are kind of like rambling off and we're already hit 3 hours. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll definitely pick this up. Hold your thoughts for that. It's just we're kind of straying from everything, and I know this is gonna say Jim, so let me switch that. So, Age, where can they find you?
Twitch, Twitter, YouTube at Age Night Road. Guild Wars 2 stuff. Playing some Vermintide. Life is Strange. Yeah, come join the fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you can find me at Simply_Down on Twitch and Twitter. And yeah, I'll probably play some Warframe, maybe hop back into the maps or something of Guild Wars 2. But if you do play Warframe, definitely make sure to, if you can, pick up Primed Flow. A lot of energy for your energy pool. Sorry, that's just random.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. So
it's useful for a lot of the builds. But yeah, so oh boy, we had a long show. Thank you everyone for popping out. If you're here on Wednesdays, Zero to Hero with Malthanis, definitely check that out. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/talkingskrit. We will have this up on YouTube with different thumbnails or timestamps and stuff like that. Just search Talking Skritt, choose the first one that pops up. And I would like to thank this week for the hosts from GW2 In, Hypnotic 1, 7-Bit Brian, Maple Syrup and Beers, host of Ascalon, Moonkiller NV, Shadow of the Dragon Podcast, That Chevron, Serene Virus, and MMO Inks. And yeah, well, hopefully talk to everybody next week. And take care.
yes. Oh.